from Cape? You live in Cape, right? Are you from down there?
So I was born in Carbondale, Illinois.
Okay. What
Um,
took you down there?
so I spent like the first little bit of my life in Illinois. Um, so I was born in Carbondale, Illinois, and my mom married a guy that lived over there, and so I stayed over there. I want to say until fifth, sixth grade, somewhere around there. And then when my mom got a divorce, she moved to Cape,
Hmm.
and so we moved over there.
Okay. How long ago was that?
Um, say fifth, sixth grade, so I'm 29.
Okay. So you've been down there for a minute.
Yeah, I've been there for a while, so it's pretty much like like my hometown.
Yeah, that's home.
I grew up there pretty much. I went to high
Oh.
school there and
Okay.
everything. So
Okay. Well, I was wondering because I know you used to train at Arnold a little bit, right? At Arnold BJJ with Kirk.
yeah, man. I love Kirk. So you
Kirk's a
know,
shithead, bro. Don't say it. I'm just
yeah, no,
kidding.
Kirk's awesome. He's actually cornered me a few fights, and so how that came about, I know Aaron Schlosser,
hmm
Derek Albright.
Oh, is Aaron what
Uh,
got you up there?
yeah,
And
so
Derek?
Aaron was driving up there all the time, and he was on me about I needed to get up there because uh, Aaron and Derek were my main training partners for
hmm
years. Um, so when he started training at Kirk's for a while, he was on me to get up there. And once I got up there, I loved it. So,
Got it.
um,
Got it. I think Kirk and Derek are not Kirk and Derek, but Aaron and Derek are up here now, right?
yeah, they're at St. Charles.
Yeah.
So, um,
You're like the
I,
lone
I'm,
soldier down there out of those
yeah,
three now, bro.
yeah, they kind of left me, but they're just doing what's best for them.
Yeah.
If I could, come up here, I probably would. And I'm happy for them for, you know, pursuing their dreams and
Yeah. You've been training with
getting
Cody.
to a better gym.
You've been training with Cody, right?
Yeah, I trained with Cody for years too. I went to the Gracie School there for 4 or 5 years. Got my blue belt there, and I still go over there and train a lot.
What do you train mostly?
Um, so right now I'm training at Peak Performance.
Okay.
D-Ray Ivy, he's a black belt in Taekwondo. He is an affiliate with Bang Muay Thai.
Okay.
So he goes up there and gets training under him, and then also has like programming and stuff like that through him.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's kind of what I do for my striking, and then for my jiu-jitsu, I train at Carpe Momentum School of Jiu-Jitsu in Cape.
Okay. Cool. Do you prefer, which one do you prefer? Do you have a preference? Are you more of a grappler or you
Man,
like striking?
I go back and forth.
Do you?
I love it all. I love it both.
I hate getting
At
punched.
times, it's kind of like, for a while I'll get really into jiu-jitsu, and my jiu-jitsu will start to elevate, and then it's like, oh, I need to catch up my striking. And then
Mm,
I'll get really into striking, and I feel like I'll, get up there, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I need to catch up my jiu-jitsu. So
Yeah.
I'm always doing it all, but
There's so many things to train, bro.
yeah, that's what's crazy about MMA.
Yeah. It's like you'll focus on one thing and you'll feel like that you're losing ground on the other thing, or there's almost just too much to do, bro. I mean, you start focusing on your wrestling, and then maybe you start slacking your jiu-jitsu because you feel like you're doing more wrestling, or you start focusing on your striking, and then maybe your strength and conditioning will give, or there's always something that's giving. There's only
Yeah,
so many hours in the day.
yeah, it's like it's kind of hard to, like you said, keep up, and you can kind of try to schedule it out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna do 2 days of this, 2 days of this, or you can kind of try to schedule it out, but you go harder in some sessions too. So
Mhm.
if you go really hard in your striking session tomorrow, when you have your jiu-jitsu session, you might be kind of sore.
Yeah. You can't go as hard that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a lot to structure, man. It helps to have a good group of guys around you to kind of help you do all that. It's tough.
Hmm.
It's a tough fucking sport. What got you into MMA?
I kind of just fell into it, honestly. So I wasn't like, so let's just start here. When I was 15, I got a girl pregnant, and so I was 15 when I got the girl pregnant, 16 when my daughter was born.
Okay.
So I was already not, taking school seriously and things like that.
Yeah.
Running around with the wrong people,
Mm-hmm. Just trying
just
to be a grown up fast.
right, just I don't know, trying to fit in or something, I guess. So,
Mm.
um,
Were you just kind of allowed to just like run free and do whatever you wanted?
yeah. So, once I told you we moved to Cape, and once I was in Cape, I was in a single parent household. It was just my mother.
Yeah.
She worked a lot, so we kind of just did our own thing.
You had all free time. Yeah.
And even if my mom kind of did get on us, I wasn't the best kid, so I just kind of was like, yeah, whatever.
Just brush it off.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough especially when you're like a young man and you're growing up in the world. And so my son is 13, is about to be 14.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, you have a 13-year-old, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
teenagers are fucking tough, dude. And so like he's getting into this phase in life where it's like, he wants his independence. He wants to kind of come into his own. He's trying to figure out who he is and his place in this world. So he's really gravitating towards his friends and his social, quote unquote, social life. I'm like, bitch, I don't send you to school to get a social life. Fuck out of here.
Right. Yeah.
So that had to be tough probably for your mom. I mean, shit, dude, kids, what I'm realizing, kids are relentless with what they want. Like the amount of energy that they have to push and for what they want, which in the case of, when you're growing up, it's like you want freedom and you want, independence. Like that isn't inevitable. That is going to come. So you just push and push and push. So your will to push for that is far greater than like mine, for example, as a parent. It's like, man, it's exhausting to try to like keep these kids just kind of like on the narrow that you want to keep them on, because the will to just break free and do whatever you want is so strong. So I can only imagine what it's like for any single parent to try to, keep the reins on their fucking kid when you're only there you only have so much time to actually be there. And then you're a mom raising a man, like,
right.
good luck, bro.
And yeah, and so seeing that and like going through that, it's probably why I'm like so into being a father, because I knew at the time I wasn't like the kid that was like, oh, my father's not here, like, and like using it to, mess around or fuck off or anything like that. At the time I really didn't think I cared.
Yeah, so what's going through your mind when you found out like you're about to have a kid at 16 years
Dude,
old?
it was crazy.
Were you 15 when you found out, or 16?
I want to say I was 15 when I found out, and it was just crazy. And then I was already like, I felt like the only reason I was in school was because I love sports. I played sports all year round, and then so with that pressure of when I had a kid come in and like I wasn't really doing homework. I wasn't focused on anything, and so once I didn't make grades and I couldn't play sports, then I was really just like, I don't really care about this.
Yeah, why even be here anymore?
So knowing I had my daughter coming on the way, I decided to drop out and get my GED and, start working and start trying to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, so you asked me how I, got into fighting. It was kind of just like, like I said, I was around the wrong crowd. I was in a lot of street fights and things like that. And I had started training with this guy. Just this, so it was my brother, his girlfriend. It was her older brother. And I think he was just, like a fight fan. So, my brother had started training with him a little bit. They were just messing around with jiu-jitsu and stuff. And my brother, which I was the older brother, I used to kind of beat up on him.
As brothers do.
As an older brother, just, and, one day he asked me to wrestle or something. And, I'm like, okay. I usually smash you. And I went to wrestle him and he put me in a triangle. And
was he already training jiu-jitsu at that time?
He was just training with this guy. They was just basically just watching fights and figuring stuff out, basically.
Okay.
So it wasn't like he wasn't training like formal jiu-jitsu or anything. They just kind of figured it out.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Just learning what he could off the TV.
Right. So he put me in a triangle, and he, my little brother just tapped me out basically. And so, it blew my mind. I was just like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And so at the time, I wasn't living the best lifestyle. I ate horrible food. I was smoking cigarettes, and
Now you're a smoker.
yeah, I
How,
was for a while.
how long did you smoke for?
For probably, from the time I was around 15, 16 to I think I quit when I was like 21, 22.
Okay. So, yeah, when you're a real man, huh? You're like, I'm an adult now. I'm gonna smoke
Well,
cigarettes.
well, yeah, pretty much. That's like I said, it was I didn't know at the time, but
Yeah.
not having that strong father figure in your household.
Yeah.
I was just trying to fit in with the older crowd and
Just do what you see and what everybody else is doing.
right. So
Yeah.
I had older friends and they wasn't the best influences on me and
Yeah. Well,
things
dude.
like that.
Well, you know where Potosi is?
Yeah.
So I grew up in Potosi until I moved to Jeff City in like 6th grade. So and I still have family down there. So like any rural area, I mean, you just see a ton of people smoking and chewing, and just tobacco use is just so high in the rural areas. So I mean, everybody fucking
It's
does it. All the
crazy.
cool kids do it.
Like growing up, like my mom smoked,
Quote unquote. Yeah, same.
So it's like everybody around me smoked. Like I didn't really know there was like a lot of people that didn't smoke. Like I just thought it was a
A
thing
thing
that a lot
that
of people,
adults
that most
did.
people did. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I used to go to the store and get my mom cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like it was not. She would send me in this go get her
Yeah.
cigarettes all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like it was just a thing, dude. Like
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
beer and cigarettes and chew were just always around me as a very young kid.
And then you see that, and that's kind of where it started. I used to steal my mom's cigarettes and sneak out, and think I was cool and smoke cigarettes out
Yeah.
back and stuff.
Yeah,
and
dude.
so that's kind of when you got that, when you have that
And then
influence
you get that
in your
little head rush,
household.
bro. Cigarettes give you a little bit of a head rush, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like I said, that was just as I was coming into my adulthood, and so I kind of just like I said, I felt like my brother got me in that triangle, and so I started kind of training with them, and we literally just trained like in a field.
Oh, really?
We had gloves and stuff, and we would drill a little bit, and then we would mostly just spar and stuff.
Okay.
And then the guy was like, "Y'all want to take a fight?" And we was like, I'm like thinking I'm a tough guy. Yeah, sure. And so he scheduled us for our first fight. I literally just started training in a field like a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
You see
yeah.
that often. People are surprised that when people joke about, yeah, this fucking guy just stepped off the street to go, like that happens
Well,
all the time.
when I first started,
Especially then.
that's what a lot of it was. Like you've heard people say before, people being pulled out the crowd, just
That shit happens for real.
just weird things. So I took
So this was your early 20s still. Like this is the very
I
beginning.
took my first fight when I was 18.
18. So you're an 18-year-old kid at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's 11 years
18.
ago.
Me and my brother fought the same night. He was actually 17 and lied. We lied, said he was 18 so he could fight.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Do you remember what show it was?
AFC was ran by Don Davis and Brad Wick.
Okay.
those
And that was down
guys.
in Cape?
It was this one.
Or was it like Sykeston or something?
I think the first one was in Cape. It was at the arena building.
Okay.
Yeah, first one was in Cape. And so my first fight, I remember I showed up to the weigh-ins and I'm fighting this guy that was 3-0. And they asked me what weight and I tell them 170. And like I think at the time I only said 170 because I'd watched a couple like GSP fights and I was like, was like what I was trying to model myself, and I was like, I want to fight at 170.
Okay.
So I get to the weigh-ins, and I weighed in at 163.
Oh,
Like
okay.
this is just my regular weight. I didn't
you're
know
under.
anything. I didn't know anything about cutting weight or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just thought, hadn't really weighed myself. I just kind of
You're just
figured.
guessing.
Well, I kind of figured from I guess what I've seen before my weight. I knew I was around 170.
Okay. So you came in a little under.
Yeah.
that
So
fight.
then this guy probably cut down to 170, and I'm 163. Kyle Kurtz.
Mhm.
So he was there. I think he was the main event that night, if I can remember. And he was like, "Man, don't you think you should fight at 155?" And I'm just in my like tough guy mode. I'm just like, no, mom, I'm good, man, I'm good. And yeah, so then I get to the fight. I actually ended up dropping the guy in the first round. Like he almost went out cold, like within the first like 10 seconds. But it was kind of one of those like flash knockouts when he hit the ground. He kind of woke up a little
Mm-hmm.
bit,
Yeah, that happens.
and I was literally, if I remember, I literally remember smoking on the way to the fight.
You were
Like
smoking cigarettes, so you had no nerves going into this fight.
no, zero, like zero nerves. I thought I was about to like just kill this guy.
Yeah, you were just. It's just. Yeah, man. You say you're 18.
Yes.
Holy shit. Yeah, I can just remember just how confident you are at 18.
So
You're
confident. Like
like,
I had no worries. Cause literally, I fought on the street, but like literally, my street fights consisted of me hitting a guy a few times and then like when I won the fight really, and then
and that's it.
and then that's it.
Yeah.
So this is my first actual like real fight, kind of. So, and like no training, smoking cigarettes on the way there. But I dropped, I dropped the guy in the first round. And you know, I've watched fights. I've watched UFC before a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and so I drop him, and I'm like, oh, so I'm running towards him after I drop him, and I try to mount him, or you know, I try to just jump on him basically, and I get on, I think I mounted him, and I ran down like 3 strikes. I'm trying to keep going, and after the like 3 strikes, I noticed my punches are super slow, and they're not. There's no damage really. It's just like
Yeah.
almost like those dreams you have.
Oh yeah.
It was like it was real life. Like I was, I had an adrenaline dump within 15, 20 seconds because I dropped the guy. I'm thinking I'm about to finish him. And so I'm raining down strikes. He actually had a little, this guy was 3-0, so he actually had a little training. He rolls me over, um, passes my guard, mounts me, basically, and then does the same thing for the remainder of the fight.
Okay.
Just after that, he would come out after the round, take me down, mount me, and I guess I had so much strength, I was just holding him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he wasn't. I didn't really take too much damage, but he won the fight.
Yeah, he's kind of
He controlled the
dominant.
position. But after the fight, I was so tired. I went backstage. I couldn't move for like 2 hours. I was throwing up. Like it was bad.
Is
Like
that the,
I almost felt like I was gonna die.
is that the most tired you've ever been?
Yeah,
That's a terrible feeling. Yeah.
yeah, it was worse. And so that right there, obviously changed my whole mind on fighting.
Mm.
Because I thought I was this bad guy, street fighter. And then this guy just could take me down and hold me. Like I knew right then I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. A lot of people have a weird sense of what they're able to do. It's not real, right? They live in this idea of like, I know how to fight, and then you realize quickly, like, oh shit, there's a lot that I don't know when it comes to fighting. Yeah, that's probably like an eye opener.
Yeah, and when I talk to like my brother sometimes, so we both kind of started around the same time, and I asked him about his mindset around that time, and he said he always knew that he needed to train and he didn't know what he was doing, but
Mm.
my mindset was like these guys can't touch. I don't know. It was just weird. Like I had weird confidence for no reason.
Yeah, well, it's good to be confident.
Right.
It helps to have a reason, though.
Yeah.
Shit, man. So, I mean, obviously, that kind of like probably changed everything, and then you start training after that.
No.
No?
I didn't. Not immediately. I tried, obviously, but like I said, I was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's not that easy to quit smoking cigarettes.
Still,
But
still took you a couple years, it sounds like, to quit smoking
yeah,
cigarettes.
yeah.
God, what'd you do to quit smoking?
I just kept trying, I guess.
Trying what? Just to not do it? You just
Yeah,
wanted to just stop doing it?
I just wanted to stop so bad, and that's like something I give to people say like martial arts or fighting or jujitsu changes their life. It literally did change my life because I wanted to change so many things about myself because I wanted to be a fighter so bad.
Yeah.
Like I knew, oh man, if I want to be a fighter really bad, but there's no way I can do that and keep smoking cigarettes. There's no way I can do that and keep eating these bad foods. There's no way I can do that and not train.
Yeah.
So like I had to change a lot to start being successful. So I I lost my first 4 amateur fights. That's how bad I wanted to fight so bad. I just kept fighting, even though I wasn't getting the proper training. I was still not,
Hmm.
doing the right things, but I still wanted to fight really bad.
Yeah, still like feels good to like still step in there and like do the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I had I was brave enough to do it, but you know, it wasn't a smart. I don't look at it like
Yeah,
a smart thing to do. Like,
yeah.
I guess
Was it
you
just for
know,
your ego, you think? You're
I'm
just
not.
like it feels good to be like, yeah, I'm a fighter. Like to say that you're a fighter and you're doing the thing and like it makes you feel
I
like,
guess it was probably a little bit of that, but honestly, I just really wanted to really bad. Like, and I knew I could do it
mm-hmm,
if I had the right people around me and the right things,
mm-hmm,
and I would, live in the right lifestyle. I knew I could do it. So I guess I could just kind of figured like keep going towards it and slowly, fix yourself to where you eventually be successful at it.
mm,
I guess was kind of what I thought. So that's how I lost my first 4 amateur fights. Um, and then I started training with the guy in Sykeston, which he had. He didn't have the best technique and things like that, but he pushed us really hard, so I was in really good shape. So just with that, I started going on a little run because I had I always had the willpower and like a little bit of skill.
mm-hmm.
I just never trained hard enough because I didn't have the work ethic because I was a smoker and stuff. Like
Yeah,
when you like have that lifestyle for, a few years, you're just a smoker, you're not active. It takes a little bit to get back into that. Even though I was pretty successful like in school sports and things from but I stopped, after school. I didn't do anything but go to work and smoke cigarettes and
yeah,
eat bad food.
yeah.
So, it just took a while
Right.
to.
Well, you're lucky you were young, right? You're able to bounce back quickly and you recover from like the damage of smoking,
Mm,
and then just keep moving, keep building.
right.
So you quit smoking. So when you started training with that guy in Sykeston, that was kind of like that was like the step where like you're taking it more serious.
Yeah,
You stopped smoking,
definitely,
got in shape.
definitely.
Okay.
That's when I started taking it a lot more serious. And then I won a few fights in a row, and then I had a fight against Kyle Kurtz. It was like the main event type thing. It was one of those outside fights outside the Harley Davidson shop there.
Oh, that's what's up. That's
Yeah, it was
cool.
pretty cool. But this was another big eye changer or life changer. Um, when, so like I said, I won a few fights in a row, so I was getting my confidence back, and um, I was doing really good. And then, we all know Kyle. He has pretty good. He's always had like pretty good jujitsu and things like that. So basically, I fight Kyle, and he gets me in a triangle, and I lose this title fight that I started off horrible in my career, and then I bounced back, and then I lose. This was Kyle was about to go pro. This was like one of his last amateur fights,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just starting to hit a little stride, and that when he got me in that triangle, again, that was a fight I realized I didn't know what I was doing on the ground. Like I still wasn't doing real technique, real jiu-jitsu, or anything like that. So after that fight is when I I had to leave the gym in Sykeston because I came back to my coach and told him like I needed to cross train. I needed to go to some other gyms because you know I could only learn so much from him. I kind of felt like I learned everything I could from him
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't know too much to begin with.
Yeah, he just kind of.
But he was a good mental pusher. Like he was gonna have you, you're gonna be in shape for the fight.
Right. Yeah, just more like strength conditioning. He was really good at that.
Right.
Yeah, you man, dude. Yeah, not every coach is gonna get you there, right? Like
Yeah.
where you start is not where you're gonna end up always.
hmm So that changed my mind as far as the ground game.
How did you win those other fights?
Knockout or just taking people down, ground and pound.
Ground and pound, kind of
Yeah, like I
grinding
said, I
them
had a
out.
little bit of jiu-jitsu, like that guy had a little bit of technique to teach. Like it wasn't like he didn't have any at all, but it wasn't like it just wasn't detailed, you know.
Right.
It was like he was a
Like he
pretty
knew
good
he knew a
wrestling
few
coach.
techniques that like worked, right? Like
Right.
he
And
wasn't
so
teaching you a whole
I
bunch
was
of
taking guys down and, mounting them and pounding them out, stuff, things
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
But then once I ran into Kyle,
Yeah.
he actually had some formal jiu-jitsu training and I could feel the difference, like
Right.
I could feel like, he was a step or two ahead, or like there were spots where I would get to and I'm like, I don't know what to do right here. You
Yeah.
know? And so
Yeah.
like when you're in a fight and you're like, I'm in this position, which way do I go? And then you just pick something because
You
you
hope it's the
don't
right
know.
way.
Yeah, and then it's probably not because you just try something.
Yeah. And depending on who you go with, either way could be the wrong way.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter which way you go.
So, I always had like heavy hands and things like that, but it was like when as soon as someone would grab a hold of me, you know, I didn't know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
So like after that fight, that's when I knew, like, all right, now I need to, like, I don't want to be in a fight and be on the ground and be in a position and not know what to do. I
Mm.
want to know what to do in every position, whether, when it comes to MMA positioning, and be able to, do I need to stand up right here? Do I need to try to sweep? Do I,
Yeah.
just the little details of what you need to, where you
Yeah.
need to be to protect yourself.
Right. So that's how you started seeking out a different coach at that time.
Right. And when I wanted to stay with the guy, but he didn't want. He was one. It was one of those things. One of those coaches that are like, you can't train. Like if you train over there, then they're gonna mess up what I'm teaching you.
Yeah, that's silly. That's not a very.
Yeah, it was one like I'm sure you've met a few of those guys.
They exist. Yeah, that's not like a very good way to run a team, though, right? I mean, shit, you got to allow guys to go get different looks. I mean, there's so much value in cross training to be able to go get different looks. I mean, especially when I think it's like a small town mindset when you think like that,
Mm.
because you're always thinking, oh well, you're not very confident in what you're doing if you're worried about somebody fucking up what you're teaching. That's stupid. But then if you're worried about maybe competing with other people that are in your same town, like maybe you do that in the beginning, but it's not ultimately, especially as you're getting better and you start facing better competition, you're going to start expanding outside of your city and start competing everywhere else, right? I mean, in fighting as a pro, you're not trying to. I always think of it like here in St. Louis, it's like as a pro, you don't want to be the best pro in St. Louis. Who gives a shit if you're the best pro in St. Louis? Like you want to fight all the best pros like outside of the city, like all over the country, all over the world, right? I mean, that's the goal, right? To be one of the best in the world, not to be one of the best in your little
Your
area
area,
code.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So you gotta start there, but shit, you don't want to end there.
Yeah. Definitely not. Exactly why I took my next fight like out of, and I don't know, I like fighting out of town.
hmm
It's when you're fighting in your hometown, I feel like there's a little added pressure.
Not really.
You have everybody there, like, and so you want to put on a really good performance. You want to, try to get a knockout in front of, people you grew up with, your
Right.
family. So there's all that added pressure when you fly out of town. I don't know any of these people, so I don't care.
You just focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, I don't know any of these
Yeah.
people. Like,
And you don't gotta sell tickets. That's
yeah,
always nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I like fighting out of town.
Yeah, I like fighting out of town too.
Yeah.
I used to fight whenever I fought for Shamrock. I think I fought mostly in Kansas City, and it was great because I didn't have to sell tickets and I didn't know anybody. It was just
Yeah.
go do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I started seeking out different training. So
Man.
I got into Gracie Humana School there with Cody and Brian. Well,
Yeah.
when I started, it was just Brian's. It was Brian's school. Then he came down and he's under JW.
Right. Right. How long? So what age are you at this point? How long ago is that? Maybe like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Uh, so I'm not good with time.
S-
Uh,
Well, how long did you train with the guy in Sykeston?
for like probably a year and a half.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're probably like 22 or 23 then.
Yeah, it was around that time. I'm pretty sure I trained at Brian's school for 5 years, and then I've been at my jiu-jitsu school now for a couple years.
Couple years. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had formal jiu-jitsu training for 6. I want to say about 6 years altogether.
Okay. Yeah.
6, maybe going on 7.
Yeah, you're a blue belt,
Purple belt.
purple belt.
Mm.
Oh, nice, nice. So you know significantly more jujitsu now.
Yeah,
You like
it's
probably look back at yourself then you're like, what in the world?
yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, it's almost when you look back at yourself, it's almost kind of embarrassing to yourself.
Yeah, you were the guy that we like that like guys like us now laugh at.
Yeah, it's crazy. But and, like that's why I want to tell people you can go from that guy. Like I was literally people used to laugh at me. Like
Yeah, we laugh at that guy all the time.
I had a guy at 135er that was pretty good at the time, making fun of me, calling me out, telling me he would beat me even though, I had so much size on him.
Yeah.
Like I was just
Yeah.
I was just one of those guys that was just doing, like you said, almost for their ego to say they were a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not why I wasn't doing it just to say I was a fighter. I really wanted to be a fighter. I just didn't know how to do it. Like,
Right. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, dude, first of all, we all have ego. Every fighter has an ego. You have to have a fucking ego to do fighting, to like to want to stand in the cage half naked and like go dominate another man, and then to be like, yeah, I'm the fucking man, and I need everybody to fucking know it. Like it
Right.
feels so good
no, yeah,
to be the man
definitely.
afterwards. Yeah, that's one of the hard for me. And even I still even think about it sometimes. I stopped fighting probably 5 years ago. And like physically, I'm probably better than I'm really good. Like man, my jujitsu's better than it's ever been. Like physically, I'm in pretty good shape. I know I could go put a hurting on some people, like if I really wanted to. But the problem is I don't want to. Like you have to like mentally want to do that thing because as you know, once you get in there, when the chaos ensues and there's something like goes that you're not thinking, like something goes sideways, you need to want to be there. You need to like push through it because otherwise you'll just quit.
Yeah.
Which is what I did my last couple fights. But man, there's just something like I get this little voice. It's like, yeah, man, you want to go in there. You want everybody to see you beat up that person.
Yeah.
Like you want everybody to fucking know, man. Like, cause it's a weird thing when people start looking at you. And this is again, it's just my ego. But like whenever I'm not in St. Charles MMA as much as I was, but like I'd be in there and people would just look at me like just a jiu-jitsu guy. Like they didn't, because I'm so far removed from fighting and I see these other fighters. I'm just like, you guys aren't looking at me with the respect that I need you to look at me with. Like,
Right.
there's just something about that ego, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's a healthy driver. You can't let it go crazy. But yeah, it's definitely a big part of it, especially when you're young. Especially when you're young.
Yeah. I think that's like you said about the respect. Like I think that's a big part of it. Is I would say it's part of the ego, but like you want people to respect you for your skills and your toughness and all that stuff. And it's like to me, I think why I started. Like sometimes I think why did I start fighting? You know, like why do people start fighting? Um, I played sports and then like I told you, I dropped out of school to start trying to take care of my daughter and stuff like that. And so like that competitiveness, obviously a lot of people say like they want that competitiveness back. Um, but I think I think it goes deeper than that. Like why would a grown man want to get in a cage and fight, especially early in your career, you're fighting for free. So, why would you want to? And so I asked myself that, and I I think it's more about the respect as of like I didn't have any other way for since I was a high school dropout. Um, I feel like I needed a way to make people respect me. I couldn't go make money, this elsewhere. Most people respect, you for, how much money you have and things like that. I felt like I guess this was a way where I could get people to respect me, I guess.
Yeah, you could take control. Like you had an opportunity, right, to gain respect socially, and like in a very like in a way that you feel like you had control over,
Mm.
right? Like for me, I always felt that sports and like athletics were just kind of like the way in which I kind of expressed myself the best. It was like that. Like I've never been like a big video game type of guy. Like I like video games. I used to play them as a kid, but like when it came to like playing my friends in Madden and shit, one I wasn't the best, and that shit would always piss me off. And I would because I'm so fucking competitive, but it would always piss me off as well because I'm like, this is bullshit. Because if we went out here right now and physically did something, I'd fucking smash you. And I didn't like that disconnect between like not having like the physical control over doing the thing.
Right.
So yeah, for me anyway, fighting really felt like an opportunity to like build a life that didn't, that wasn't in that same, typical structure of like go get the 9 to 5. I had a 9 to 5 job. I hated that shit. And I'm like, man, I really want to be a professional athlete. Like that's what I've always wanted to do. And this seems
Right.
like the opportunity. I can build a life that isn't like everybody else is doing something that not everybody else is doing, but I actually have control over. Like I have control over what I'm eating, when I go run, when I train. Like you have all these things that you can do, and you have like real input like physically in life. Like you can see there's a direct correlation whenever I run and then I have better cardio, or whenever I'm rolling harder and now I can go for longer, or you know what I'm saying? Like there's real direct feedback there, and man, there's just something about that. It's not abstract.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely think it was the same for me. Like, um, I just wanted to, better my life, and it gave me something to work for, like look forward to.
Yeah.
You get to look forward to fights. You get to look forward to seeing your friends and things like that. And the camaraderie with the people you train is another big thing too that helps you, keep going
Yeah.
and things like that. And I think I'm in it for longevity. Like I know a lot of guys, you ask them how long they want to fight for, and they're like, 35. I just want to make a lot of money and get out. Like I definitely want to make a lot of money if I can. Like that's definitely the goal. That was definitely when I started. It was like this is the only way I can see myself making a lot of money. Um, so that was definitely the goal. But it's more. I think it still comes down to it's more to about respect for me.
Mm.
Like I definitely you know, want to be able to take care of my family. I still work full time. Um, but I've also not worked full time and like trained full time before. Honestly, I like my schedule now, and I think working full time and training, it gives me, it keeps my mind busy
Mm.
because you can only train so much, and so because my wife's a nurse, so there was a little bit there especially when I was first turning pro, like right at my end of my amateur career, she told me, well, we had little kids, and so I was the one that was gonna stay home with the kids. She made more money, and then I could train more. But it gets to a point where you almost have too much time. Like you can only train so much, and then it's almost like I'd start driving myself crazy. Like I wasn't being productive enough because
Mm.
all I was focused on was this one thing. But now, like with having my set work schedule, I'm a welder. So I work 4 10-hour shifts, Monday through Thursday, and then I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday usually.
That's legit.
Yeah, so I work. I get up usually at 4:30, and I work 6 in the morning until 4:30, and then I get off and train and stuff like that.
Okay, so you train every evening?
Yeah, for
Monday.
the most part.
Okay.
If I go more by like just how I'm feeling. So like I have places that I will go each day that I
Mhm.
already like I know if it's Monday I'm gonna go jiu-jitsu, Tuesday I'm gonna go striking, things like that.
Okay.
Um, but like if I'm just if I'm real beat up, especially if I'm at work and I'm just feeling real beat up and I'm dead, I'm like, what, I'm just gonna take the night off because
Mm.
that's I feel like that's when you get your injuries. Now there's a lot of times when you're feeling that way and you do want to push through. But a lot of times, I just feel like it's after you train so long, you kind of just get to know your body and know
Mhm.
when you need a day off.
Yeah, you gotta listen to your body for sure. Yeah, man. Dang. So you're working. So you're welding 4 days a week, and then you're off the other 3 days a week. So are the 3 days that you're not working, are those like heavier training days?
Yeah, I definitely try to be. So on my weekend, um, like today, I wake up and do car. Like I went to Ultimate Frisbee. I had a group of guys, from bunch of surrounding churches in my area.
Mhm.
We all get together. a few days a week and play ultimate frisbee in the morning before work. And it's like it's really changed my cardio. Because it's not like you go do all these other things for cardio. You can go jog, you can go do sprints,
Mm-hmm.
but you can go do like plyometrics, all this different strength and conditioning stuff. I really like ultimate frisbee because it's like all that in one.
Yeah,
So
it's a game, so it keeps your mind
yeah, so
right.
like when
Occupied.
you're just doing sprints, like say you're just doing hill sprints by yourself, you might push pretty hard, but if you're trying to stop this guy from scoring,
Mm-hmm.
like you're gonna sprint as hard as you can to try to deflect the frisbee
Right.
or whatever. You're gonna and you're doing all these different things. You're not just running. You're not just jogging. You're running. You're jumping. You're
Mm-hmm.
turning on a dime and trying to cut.
Yeah.
You're trying to defend. It's hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. So there's
It's
a lot
really
of benefit that you're getting, but also I imagine it's kind of like it's easier on your body. Like you're not just taking the pounding of fighting,
hmm
right? So you're still getting like the benefits of like training, but it's kind of like an active recovery session in a way because you're not taking like the beating from getting punched or kicked or slammed down on the ground and shit, but you're still
right.
doing all the athletic stuff. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's legit.
I just feel it really helps relate to the fighting a lot. Just from as as a fighter, you got to have that long distance cardio, but you also got to have that where you can explode and recover,
Yeah.
and that you do that a lot playing ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you usually do in the evenings for training?
Um, so like today, I would be training. There's an open mat today. I would go to at 3 o'clock. Um, and then Saturdays I'll teach at 11.
Mm.
And then, or no, actually, sorry. So I wake up, and this is when on Saturday mornings is when I go to my strength and conditioning coach. He's really good. Like, he played football, college football at D1 at CMO there in Cape. Um, and now he's had a couple guys that he's trained that have made it to the NFL. Um, he does a lot of high school kids and stuff like that, but it's really high level stuff. A lot of like plyometrics, jumping, medicine ball stuff, and like kind of the stuff you see a lot of the high level guys do.
Mm-hmm.
And until he opened up his gym, I was just kind of doing my own thing. We didn't have, one of those gyms. It's not
Yeah.
like a big town like city like St. Louis. A
Yeah.
little smaller. Our population's like 40,000.
Yeah.
So we didn't have like a strength and conditioning gym. We just had gyms.
Right. Yeah.
So, once I, met this guy and got going with him, he's changed my strength and conditioning a lot too, to where I'm actually, training like an athlete now and not
Yeah.
just, doing it on my own, be like, oh, I need to run 3 times this week. I need to go do hill sprints a couple times.
Yeah.
I was trying to do it all on my own.
That been a game changer for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big game changer.
We live in a great time right now where, to your point, there are a lot of really good strength coaches, and there's more access to them. They're everywhere. They're not just in big cities, and there's not just like a few of them. There's a lot of good information and a lot of good coaches everywhere now. So I'm sure that's been like a big game changer for sure.
Oh, yeah. And I like I like his style of training. He'll actually, when we're doing our plyometrics and stuff, actually have us get barefoot and
Mm.
tell us, to work our feet. So we work our feet muscles. They talk
Yeah.
about how he was actually born in Africa. And he was talking about, in countries like that, you know, a lot of people don't have shoes. And then like a lot of these sprinters, from these countries are high level sprinters. And he talked about, one of the reasons is being, they don't really have shoes, so they're building up a lot of strength in your feet. Like you
Hmm.
don't need to just build up your leg muscles. You need to build up the muscles in your feet too, because that's where everything starts.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the cage and you're planting, or you're turning your hip over with it. Like everything starts at your feet.
Yeah. Well, everything you do is barefoot, right? I mean,
hmm
when it comes to jujitsu or fighting or any of it, it's all barefoot competition.
Yeah, so I do a lot of my strength and conditioning barefoot.
Yeah, that's a good move. Sounds like you got a smart coach,
Yeah,
for sure.
he's really good.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely starts with the feet, dude. Dang. So, what's your diet like?
Lately I've been doing more. So like for the most part, it's always been mostly like when I got a fight coming up. Obviously, when I don't have a fight coming up, I'm gonna slack a little bit. But when I got a fight coming up, I'm pretty strict, and mostly I'm trying a little bit different this camp. Mostly it was like a lot of chicken and fish, and then I do a lot of smoothies and things like that.
Mm.
Um, but right now I'm doing more red meat, just
Okay.
because everybody's been talking about the carnivore diet and things like
Yeah.
that. Um, so I'm trying that out, and I've been liking it a lot.
Yeah, more beef, more red meat.
Man, yeah, because that chicken gets old really
Yeah.
fast.
Well,
Like,
they're more nutrients.
yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
didn't, I just thought, I was just always thought that, chicken was, they tell you you're supposed to eat white meat, you gotta eat chicken. But when you actually get to
It's
do
always
more research, that's like you said, beef is a lot more nutritious.
you get more Yeah, it's always like the lean meats, right? Like,
Hmm.
dude, fat's good for you for
Right.
sure. Beef isn't really that bad for you
And
at all. It's
I've
actually good
noticed
for
that,
you.
and I could actually feel. So I've been doing a lot more steak. And
Yeah.
so like I could actually tell days like when I'm at work and I'll eat my steak on lunch
Yeah.
and I'll feel better after lunch. Like, and it
Yeah.
wasn't always like that when I was eating chicken or
Yeah.
fish on lunch. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't have, I guess, all the iron and stuff like that. You need that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get a lot of protein from chicken. I mean, obviously, the oils. Fish oil is great. So I mean, that's always good with fish. But yeah, man, I eat mostly red meat.
Yeah, I definitely do now too. I always ate red meat, but
Yeah,
it's just a lot more now. Because
yeah,
I guess I always thought like making weight, like, oh, I need to eat chicken because I'm not gonna make weight because
right.
that's just kind of what we were told.
Yeah, there's just a lot of bad, like nutrition information out there. It seems. I
Right.
remember n- there was so now knowing what I know now and just kind of the way I eat now, I'm always whenever I see people do things like they're like, oh, I'll do skim milk. I'm like, no, you like whole milk is better for you than
Right.
skim
You need
milk,
the
or
fat.
exactly, or if they'll do like egg whites instead of having the whole egg. I'm like, damn, man. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess if maybe you have an issue digesting the cholesterol and shit, like you don't want the egg yolk, but you want the whole egg. You don't want just the egg white. Like when people do that because it's in their mind healthier,
Right.
then I'm like, man, you're kind of lost right there. It's just because bad information, in my opinion.
Correct. Yeah. And I've definitely went on kicks and like there for a while, like I cut out milk and was only doing almond milk and oat
Hmm.
milk and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's almost, I don't know if it's a placebo or what, but like you almost start kind of feeling better, like your digestion and stuff, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
But
when you
then
could,
now it's like I don't know, but I love milk though,
do
so
you?
it's like I know it's not like I'm drinking it all the time, but like I want to use it when I'm making a protein shake or
Yeah.
things like that.
Right.
So it's like I finally was just like you know I'm just gonna drink the real thing.
Right.
Because there's
Yeah.
been also, there's these guys on the carnivore side now that are saying, how much bullshit it is, like almond milk and things like that. Like it's
It's
just
essentially this marketing and stuff. And, I mean, I got some almond milk in the fucking fridge, but like we get raw milk from like a local farm,
oh yeah,
and man, I like that shit a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely do get like the organic and things like that because I did notice a difference in like when I'm buying my beef and things like that. At the grass fed
Hmm.
and things like that is going to be a lot better for you.
Right. Yeah.
Because they just, especially, right before they go slaughter these cows, pumping them full of grain and
Hmm.
just to fatten them up, and it's just not good for
Right.
you.
Yeah. You always end up paying a little bit more,
But
right?
I think
But
it's worth
it's
it.
worth it. It's
Yeah,
way worth
I'll
it.
definitely rather pay a little bit more
And
for my steak.
it scale like it shakes out in the end, right? I always tell people, okay, would you rather pay for that prescription every month because you skimped on good food?
Right,
Because people do. People
exactly,
will pay. They'll have 5, 6, 7 fucking medications, and
exactly
they'll
what
pay
it
for
is.
those every month.
Yeah,
You could have just bought good food.
change up your diet a little bit.
Yeah, like watch the seed oils,
Hmm.
fucking the refined processed carbohydrates, like just all the junk.
That's the big thing. Like, I still eat junk a lot of times.
Yeah, like what? Like what's your shit? What do
Ice
you?
cream, man. I
Oh,
love ice cream.
bro, don't get me started on that.
I love ice cream.
So good.
Oreos, like with milk,
Hmm.
different Oreos, and like so. Like I'll definitely out of camp and stuff like that.
You're getting the milk and cookies and the ice
Yeah,
cream.
but I just always tell myself, like I work really hard, so I'm like, I'll just work a little harder.
Do you
but
blow up? How much do you walk like around at in between?
I don't really blow up anymore anyway though. So I guess I don't eat that bad, but so like right now I'm like 185. I usually walk around about 185, between 185 and sometimes I'll get down even close to 180 walking around.
And now you're fighting at 70, right? You don't
hmm
fight at 55, right?
Yeah, no, I'll
Okay, I
fight
was
at
gonna
70. No,
say.
I've never fought at 55.
Okay, so you've always fought at 70?
Yeah, I've always
Okay.
fought at 70. I fought at 85. I fought at 205 one time.
Oh shit, for
But
real.
I didn't weigh 205. It was one of those things back in the old days.
Like, let's
when
go.
well, I went to the fight and my fighter didn't show up, and this other guy's fighter didn't show up. I was supposed to be fighting at 85, and
Mm.
then so I was like 85, and then I ended up going up to fight this other guy at 205, and yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
You know what happens.
Yeah.
Learning lessons. Learning lessons. Well, shit, dude. Yeah. Ice cream and cookies and shit. That'll make it easy to go to 205 if you really
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah. I thought about trying to bulk up and do
No.
85 or something like that, but I just feel like 170 is my
No,
natural.
you're a good size for 170.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although my last fight, I felt I think it's because of how like the timing and everything. So my last fight, I fought like back to back like within a month.
Mm.
So and I think because I cut back to back like that, between that I never gained my size back. For like like you'll cut down and then you got like within a few weeks you'll kind of gain your size back once you start eating different and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I kind of stayed around 180 or 78, and so I could never kind of gain my size back. So the guy had a little bit of size on me.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen sometimes, but I'm not. That's not why he beat me or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you definitely,
Your body's probably still didn't recover from those weight cuts. That's hard on the body.
yeah. I don't think I'll ever want to do that again. Like you see these guys like Chimaev and these guys that have done these back-to-back fights,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't think it's a good thing for me.
Yeah. If you're gonna get paid, for sure, do it.
Right. Well, it was a good opportunity, is what it was. So I beat my guy, and then it was a month later. It was on Fight Pass at FAC.
Mm.
So I just didn't want to pass up the opportunity,
I get it.
and
I get
it
it.
was a good opponent. Like I'm one of those guys that I like taking the tougher fights. If I just fight somebody that I think I'm supposed to beat, I don't really get too motivated for it. Like
You gotta
I
feel like
like
those.
to fight somebody that I know has a chance to beat me, or like I kind of step up to the altercation. Like
You like to feel like the underdog.
yeah,
Yeah. I can understand that because
yeah,
then you gotta prove them wrong.
right,
Because
exactly.
that gives you that motivation.
Yeah, and yeah. So it was a good fight, a good fighter.
Yeah.
He just there's like I'm not making any excuses. Like he beat me, he was a better fighter. It was just it was a really crazy week, and
Yeah.
my coach did. So I got a text the morning of the fight that my coach wasn't gonna make it,
Mm.
and so you know,
Just everything was not going right.
yeah, I kind of, and then once that happened, I woke up to that, and then it's like, you kind of go back and forth all day, like I'll be all right,
Yeah.
and then like for a little bit, you're like, man, no, I can't fight without my coach,
Mm.
and then you're like, no, I'm not dropping out, I'm fighting,
Yeah.
and then it's like, so I kind of, I was not gonna drop out, but like, I almost had to like try to like, not I don't want to say trick myself, but like, force myself into the mode of wanting to fight without my
Mhm.
coach. It is a fight. You're in there by yourself, but those like your coaches are a big part of it. Like they help a lot.
Give you that confidence for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're fighting a mental battle the whole day. By the time you get into the cage, you're already mentally fatigued.
Yeah, and
That's
then
gotta
also,
make it tough to
so then,
perform.
so my jiu-jitsu coach was still coming up, but I didn't have my MMA coach, so
Mhm.
like, and my jiu-jitsu coach, he's literally just a gi jiu-jitsu coach,
Yeah,
he's never been in a fight,
it's
like,
different.
he definitely helps me, like, he definitely is a good coach and helps me with my jiu-jitsu, but it's a little bit different,
Yeah, yeah.
it's changed up a little bit, so I didn't have my MMA coach, and then, my opponent, he trained at Glory, and then so, he's got two
This
you
is
know, UFC guys in his corner.
it's a strong
And
gym
then so
system.
that's I'm trying not to let these things mess with my
Yeah.
head.
Well, it sounds like you mentally lost the battle before you ever
Oh yeah,
stepped in there.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, but I also feel like I kind of like fought out of it for a second.
Mhm.
Um,
Like you overcame something by stepping in
I
there.
overcame something because I was fighting a pretty good fight until I wasn't.
Mhm.
Um, but so yeah, so he's got two UFC guys in his corner, and I don't know if I just couldn't hear my corners, or like if it was just the moment or what. But all I can hear is his corners, and they're telling him, they're calling out, codes and stuff, and he's the guy I'm fighting. He's comfortable, like he's so comfortable that they're calling things out, and he's like, "All right, I got you," and then executing.
Mm.
That's how comfortable he was
That's a
that
good
night.
place to be.
Yeah, and
That's what.
I've been there, but I wasn't there at that moment.
Right.
Um, and I'm still like, nope, I'm fighting through this. So the fight started out. He was landing. He was getting the better of me on the striking. Um, and then I kind of started to find my timing a little bit. I started landing strikes. I started landing counters. And then basically, they had a good game plan. As soon as I started landing a little bit, he timed it. Took me down.
Mm.
When he took me down, I I have a really good guillotine. So that's how I won my fight just a month before that, right? With the guillotine. And so, but he had timed the takedown so good. I threw the guillotine, but it was already too late.
Mm.
Like I just kind of threw it because, like, Hail Mary, like, oh crap, he's taking me down. Like it was such a good time takedown. Like I didn't see it coming. Like it
Yeah.
was one of those. Like he timed it when I threw a counter strike.
Yeah.
And so like I tried to throw his guillotine, but he was already to the side and everything. And since he was already to the side, and I threw that guillotine, his head was already right there, and
He put you around the
the
arm
arm
triangle.
triangle was already right there, and
Mm.
then he just had to hop over. So, and it was honestly like, yeah, I heard you bring up, you said you kind of quit, and you've kind of quit in your fight
Oh.
before.
Mm. Yeah.
It was kind of one of those things like my mental battle was so crazy that like as soon as he took me down, I kind of just like was like, all right, like
I want to do this anymore.
yeah, like, and I kind of, like I said, I kind of fought out of it, and like I was starting to counter strike and stuff, and like I was starting to feel better, and then, he, and I had got poked in the eye too, and the ref didn't see it. It was an accident, one of those things. It was just like one of those things, and the ref didn't see it. So for probably like 30 seconds of it, I was just trying to move and get my vision back.
Yeah.
So that messed with my head, and then right after the exchanges, right after that was when he took me down.
Mhm.
And it was just one of those things. Yeah, like as soon as he took me down, like I lost all confidence and like, you know,
Yeah.
I, like I don't, fighters don't really, you don't really hear fighters talk about, those moments. But I feel like everybody's kind of been in the moments where they, it's been mental. Like it's not really physical.
Yeah, a lot of it's mental because physically you know how to fight. Like that's why you hate those adrenaline dumps. Like that's mental,
Yeah.
right? It's like you're not calm.
Right.
You're overexcited. Your body has a physical reaction, then you just fucking fatigue out. Like it's like, why am I doing that? Because you're so excited by the moment, right? It's like
Hmm.
mental. So yeah, man, the mental is the huge aspect. My very last fight, I got put in a triangle. Well, I first of all, I fucking what did I do? I did it was a like an omoplata sweep, and I swept him. I'm on top. He throws me in a triangle. I get out of the triangle. He puts me right back in the triangle, and then I tapped. I wasn't even choking actually. I just knew I was in the triangle. I knew I didn't want to be in it anymore. I'm like, all right, I'm done. And that's my last fight ever.
Yeah, that's kind of how that. Like, I haven't ever tapped the arm triangles in training. Like, I'm pretty good at defending those.
Mm.
Um, it was kind of like he caught it. He caught it good,
Hmm.
but it wasn't there yet.
Yeah,
And I could have, started defending, but since he caught it, I was kind of like,
he got it.
he got
He
it. Like he
succeeded
caught it.
before.
Like,
Yeah,
all right, you got it, buddy. Like, and it's just,
yeah.
those are the moments that I beat myself up about the most because it's like all I had to do was just tell myself no and keep going,
You
and
didn't give
something
it
else
your
could
all.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
That's a shitty feeling, especially like in hindsight, because especially in like when you're in the moment of like now, for example, we're sitting here, we're both relaxed, we're not tired, we're not dealing with the shit, we're in a good mental space, and then you look back on the thing, and when you're in a good mental space, you look back on it, you're like, why didn't I just push through that moment? But at that moment, like mentally, it just wasn't even a fucking option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely had that conversation with myself before. It's a tough thing to kind of like get over, but it's definitely just a part of it. You're still in the race though. That's
Oh
the thing.
yeah.
You don't have to
Yeah.
like live on that thing, right? You
Yeah.
know, you had
That's
a
why. Yeah.
tough weight cut. And honestly, dude, in my opinion, man, I fucking hate weight cutting. I think if you're gonna fight at 70, not you, but just like in a general sense of saying you, I think if at 170, I think the best weight to walk around is probably no heavier than 180.
Yeah,
Be,
definitely. Especially by week of, I'm like 178, 180.
yeah,
Because I don't, like, I've done those big weight cuts. I'm only trying to cut like 10 pounds.
tops,
Yeah.
tops. I
Because it's
mean,
like
you know,
I can
seven,
cut,
eight
you can
water.
cut that any day of the week if you want to.
Yeah, if
Like
you're
I
hydrated.
could
And,
wake up tomorrow and go cut 10 pounds if I want to.
yeah.
So it's like, I feel like that's perfect. I think there's a percentage I've seen that they say like you want to cut like 7% or something like that. And then, like when I did the math, it told me like the max I need to cut is like 12 pounds.
Oh yeah, if you're
So you
going
do
like
like
a
7% of your body weight or something.
yeah, if you're trying to like figure out what's a healthy percentage of weight that you can cut that isn't going to be like detrimental to your performance, and you know like how much water do you actually have? Yeah, for sure.
And so
But
that's kind of what I go by. Like I don't ever cut more than 12 pounds. Like especially with like by the week of, I diet down
yeah,
and get get
that's
pretty
fair.
close.
I think the sport is like suffering from, um, you know how like I don't know the best way to word this, but you know how when you know like some sort of like an eating disorder, if you will, like how that's mental, like we're suffering from some sort of disorder in
Yeah.
fighting where everybody feels like you have to cut weight and be the biggest guy to
Yeah.
perform when really like that's not the case. And
Uh-uh.
oftentimes you'll see guys who were cutting and cutting and cutting, and then they go up to the next weight class because it's an actual natural fit for their body and their weight, and then they fucking crush it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, and part of it's just the system in itself. There's only 5 weight classes, but just the idea that you have to completely deplete yourself physically 24 hours before getting in there for a fucking fight, that's so crazy that we still do that.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's like most guys my weight, especially like UFC level and things like that. Most guys my weight are cutting to 55. Like
It's
they're cutting from 80, 85 down to
insane.
55.
Insane.
And it's like, so it's like, I thought to myself a few times before, I could probably make 55, but it's like, I don't like, I feel like the whole camp is making weight.
Hmm.
Basically, like you're not, you're not really getting better. You're just trying to
Yeah.
focus on cutting weight.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. Weight cutting sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I used to blow up to like 190 and cut down to like 170.
Yeah, I've definitely done that. I cut the most I ever remember cutting is I had a fight and I was doing pretty good on weight. I think I was like, around 185 or something. And there was like this, like I told you, I'm from Illinois, and there's like the local fair over there. And I went over there for something. I don't remember. My family always does like the derbies and the mud races and things like that.
Okay.
And so I went over there to watch somebody do one of those things. I don't remember what it was. And like you gotta walk through the fair to get to where the events are. And so like I walked through there. I'm smelling all this. It's a week before the fight. I think it's the Saturday before the fight.
Okay.
And so I give in. I'm like I'm getting funnel cakes. Like, and this is back when I wasn't, taking it so serious or anything
but
like
all
that.
the fair goodies, huh?
Yeah, so I, loaded it up on fair goodies. I get home and I was like 194,
Okay.
and it was just a Saturday before the fight. So, yeah, I cut basically that Sunday. So Sunday when I woke up, I weighed myself. I was like 194. So from that Sunday to that Friday, I cut from 194 to 170.
Whoa. I've never cut that drastic amount of weight. Like whenever I say cut, so maybe I started my camp at the beginning around like 197, and then by the time I get to like week of where I'm about to cut weight, I would always try to get down to like 180, 178 for like that last like
Right.
water like push.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah,
man,
that's definitely how I do it now. But
that's
when I gave in and ate all, funnel
Oh,
cakes
I
and all
get
the
it.
fair food.
I get it.
I cut from 94 to 70
Really?
from, what's that, 5 days,
Yeah.
6 days.
Dude, and even towards the end of my career, and I'm more disciplined now for sure than I was at the beginning because and at a certain point it I shifted away from that idea of where it's always like, oh, I eat this way in camp and I eat this way out of camp, and it's like, oh, I'm always like getting ready for shit. It just to a point to where it almost became like a 24/7 camp where at least from a nutrition standpoint, like this is just the way
You're
I
always
eat.
eating that
Yeah,
way.
this is just like now like I eat like this is just how I eat. You know what I mean? Like I don't like have to like clean up anything. If I were to go into a camp, I wouldn't have to clean up anything. Like this is just how the fuck I eat. Like
Right.
so I think once you get to kind of like that place and you're not fluctuating, it just makes it so much easier on your life. Because dude, I think back the in fighting, dude, opportunities always come. They always do.
And it's always when like you're not ready.
That's the thing though. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It always comes when you're not ready, so you always have to fucking be ready. That's the thing, dude. I got called from Bellator. They called me to come fight on a week's notice to come fight somebody at like 170. I was like 203 or something. There's no fucking way I was making weight on.
Yeah.
It was like 10 days notice. I'm like, all right, I can make this weight, and then I'm gonna get beat up by this dude. And then what? Like that's stupid. And then another time they called me was to go fight in Tel Aviv, but I didn't have my fucking passport on hand at the time. And they said I had to have my passport on hand at the time. So, hindsight being 2020, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, man, just always be ready. Like it has to be like an all the time thing, especially with nutrition. Because if you that whole fucking idea of I'm gonna blow up and then I'm gonna get in shape like who was that fucking Patty O'Malley or what the fuck his name is?
Oh, yeah.
Patty the
Patty
Bat.
Pimblett.
Yeah, what the fuck his
Patty
name
Batty,
is?
yeah.
Yeah, Patty the Batty. That's what he does. And
Yeah.
that's like
He
that old
gets
school.
huge.
That's that old school shit, man. That's what
Yeah.
they used to do in the beginning, and like
Yeah.
that's not sustainable, and you cannot fucking do that,
And
and it's
like,
hard on your body,
and
and eventually.
you're never gonna perform like you should.
No, and eventually your body won't be able to make the cut anymore because it's rebounding, and every time you rebound, you get a little bit heavier, and then it gets harder to lose the weight, and especially, I mean, you're approaching 30. Like, once you get into your 30s, the weight cut is different, bro.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, and I don't know if maybe because I also started maybe taking creatine a little bit more regularly, but I put on, and I would say, like, around 31 or 32, like I put on like 10 pounds of just solid mass, and I can't like I'm just bigger now.
Right.
So like if I were to fight today, I'd have to fight at 185. Like 170 would not even be an option.
Yeah.
So it's just a thing where it's like, man, it has to be a lifestyle.
Yeah. I definitely think my diet's, for the most part, it's my lifestyle.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm eating the same things as far as mostly meat, and
If going off the rails is just like adding some cookies and some
that's
ice
basically
cream,
that's
like that's
basically
nothing
the only
crazy.
that's the only difference is I'll splurge a little bit
Yeah.
after a fight, few weeks, and I'll eat some cookies and when I want to, or
Yeah.
go get ice cream when I want to, or
Yeah, you live.
Yeah.
You're like a regular human.
and there's sometimes I feel really good. You have a really hard workout, you sweat out a lot, and then you can leave the gym and go and get some ice cream after. Like it kind of replenishes you that sugar and
Mhm.
like I don't know. It's
For
kind
sure.
of a thing to
When
it.
you're an athlete and you're working that hard, you
Mhm.
can get away with certain things. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, dude, there's a lot of people who they'll go for long runs and they'll have like a beer afterwards because the carbs are replenishing. It's not the same effect. You know
Right.
what I'm
As
saying?
long as you're not overdoing it. Like,
Right.
they're not going for those people are not going for a run and then drinking a 12-pack. They're
No.
drinking a couple beers.
Yeah.
Just
Well, the idea is if you're actually doing the work and like your body needs, nutrients and stuff, sometimes these things that we look as bad, like isn't as bad. If you're sitting on the couch all day and you're going to eat some pizza and some ice cream, not good.
right.
But if you're training your ass off all day and then maybe you have like, a few
Your
slices
body's
of
probably
pizza.
gonna use a lot of it.
Exactly. It's not the same. But if you're
Yeah.
doing it all the time, that's what fucks you up, bro.
Exactly.
Dang. What do you do when you're not fucking training for fighting? Are you like a fisherman or a hunter or you go
I-
hiking?
I
or...
do fish, and I actually did just. I just got my I didn't hunt. I got hunted a little bit when I was a kid.
Mhm.
When I lived in the country and stuff. But it was mostly just like small game. like rabbits, squirrels, stuff
Squirrels.
like that, just to eat and stuff with my uncles and things like that. But I I've been wanting to get into hunting, so this year I have a bow and stuff now, and I just got finished with my safety course or whatever. So
Nice.
by this fall, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go hunting.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause yeah, like it kind of fighting is really all I. Besides going to work and fighting, that's really all I do.
Hmm.
So it's like I kind of did need to find something else to,
Hmm.
take my mind off of it a little bit sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Something to kind of give you some leisure for sure. I think I bought a bow a couple years ago. It took me forever to get it. I think I bought it and it took me probably like 8 months to actually get the thing set up. I finally got it set up, and then like I've shot it. I don't shoot it as regularly as I should, but I'm with you. Like I definitely want to go hunting this fall.
Yeah, I really want to. So I'm actually moving out. Me and my wife, we're gonna move out. So we live in Cape right now. We're probably moving. I want to say it's probably 20, 30 minutes from where I at now. Hopefully by this summer.
Which direction?
Uh,
South, north, east, west?
it's like
Which way, bro?
west. Yeah.
West. Okay. So
So
like past Jackson.
yeah, so exactly. So it's through Jackson and then you go out the country that way.
Got it.
So we actually got some land out there. We're gonna buy like a brand new trailer and stuff like that.
Okay.
So my father-in-law, he farms. He has a bunch of cattle and stuff,
Oh, cool.
and so he bought this extra land so he can transport between them and like expand his farm a little
Mhm.
bit. And so we have a little bit of that land, and we're gonna move out there.
Nice.
So I'm looking. Once we get out there, there's a lot of. That's like a 50-acre plot, and then he has his actual farm is on like over 200 acres.
Oh,
So
cool.
there's all types of hunting land out there.
Yeah, dude.
A couple ponds. We're gonna
That'd be
get
awesome.
into gardening and things like that. So, 'cause like the world and things like
Going crazy,
you
bro.
definitely. I'm definitely gonna want to be able to hunt my own food and garden, and just be away from everything if it goes crazy and
I'm with you,
be
dude.
ready.
Yeah, I want to kind of move out too and kind of have some space. Get some
Mm.
chickens.
Yeah,
Fucking.
exactly. I want to be able to, provide and, use my land and, not have to go to not always just have to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, be self sufficient.
Right.
Yeah. Because, man, you go to the grocery store and maybe something isn't there. And then it doesn't take much for
And how
people.
much does it cost these
There's
days?
that too. There's
Like
that too.
it's so crazy. You can't go to the grocery store without, and my wife, we make, not the best money, but we make pretty good money together. She's a nurse and I'm a welder, but it's still like the grocery store is like taking all of our money.
Dude,
I mean, we do got a bunch of kids, but
well, just the cost of diesel fuel right now, I mean, that's going to translate into everything going up. I mean, I think I was looking at something today, like, basically, I didn't realize it, but yeah, basically everything, like our whole infrastructure and economy is really dependent on diesel fuel, right? Because if you look at like all the big machinery, like whether it's construction or the fire department or the ambulance or
transport
transport,
everything.
yeah, exactly. Diesel's transporting the food or anything. Like that's all fucking diesel fuel. So if those costs go up, then everything else goes up, and it's like fuck, man.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly. Now you got to be able to grow your own shit.
And it's like,
Have
how do
well
we
water.
know? Like, we can sit and think like, oh, how much oil is left before there's no oil. Like, and so
Yeah.
it's like, how, like, I have no idea. Like, I'm not that smart.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like, how do we, like, I have no, so it's like, you kind of have an idea what's going on. We know that it's a lot more expensive right now for gasoline, but we don't know exactly what's going on. So
Y-
it's like,
Yeah.
you want to be ready.
I don't
Like,
think we're gonna run out of oil. I just think that whoever controls that resource manipulates the price in order to pay for whatever they need to. In this case, man, this whole war going on right now between Russia and Ukraine, and we're sending billions of dollars
makes
of
you,
aid over
it makes
there.
you think it's just like another money laundering thing. Like,
Exactly,
like if they were
bro.
and they were bringing it up like in the election
Money
about his
laundering.
son being laundering money
Oh, the
over
Hunter
there.
Biden laptop and all that shit.
Yeah, so it's
And
like they were already talking about it before, and then all of a sudden it's the war.
Well,
and
before it
then
was
all,
all
and then
hearsay, and now it's starting to become substantiated, right?
and then
Like,
now we're sending them all this money. Like it's crazy.
dude, it's
When
crazy.
all these people over here struggling, like I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Well, I saw something, we're sending billions of dollars of aid overseas, yet I think a bill was just denied to like help bail out like small businesses and restaurants and shit. So it's like this domestic bill was shot down, but we're gonna send all this money overseas. That's weird. And then also, there's this huge baby formula shortage right now, which, I mean, on one hand, you know, people have been getting by for a long time without baby formula. So I think there has to be an answer for that isn't the baby formula. But on the
Right,
same hand, it's like we're sending all this money elsewhere. Why are we not investing in maybe baby formula? Because there are parents out there who cannot breastfeed.
right.
So it's like, what is the option for them? What if they adopted and now they can't? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
what if the mother just dried
Eh,
up and she just cannot physically give the baby milk. I think in prior generations, either a couple things would happen. One, if you're in like a small group setting, then maybe some other mothers in the group can maybe breastfeed your baby for you. Or the harder thing would be like that baby probably fucking died. We don't live in either one of those scenarios. So what's the best way to fucking fix that? It's like I've
Yeah.
seen some things floating around maybe about goat's milk. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe.
I have no idea.
But you would think, man, like what the hell are we doing, dude? Like
And almost,
shit.
man, with all this stuff, like I don't know, I'm kind of conspiracy driven, I guess.
But
But
the
like,
weird thing is, all those conspiracies seem to be becoming more
yeah,
and more true
and
as
I
of
almost
late.
think like they're doing like everything they're
Conspiracies.
doing is for a reason. Like, or like the the shortage. It's like, oh, is there really a shortage, or like what's really going on? Like, why is there a shortage?
Right.
Like, is there like, can we not get it, or are y'all just trying to hold it over their heads? So like, they gotta rely on the government more. Or
Right.
like, they're always. I feel like these elite people, like they got really smart people that work for them. So I feel like they're always kind of trying to play mind games.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, the people in power, meaning like the government officials or even the people who are over the government officials, like that's a pretty small group, right? And the masses like us, like to your point, like what the hell is really going on? Like
Right.
there's a lot of theater happening where it's like I see what the fuck you're doing and I see what you're saying, but the actions aren't really adding up. And you know
Right.
what I mean? Like how much of what you're telling us is true? A lot of it's fucking false. I mean, if you look at the mainstream media, a lot of the shit that is coming out of there, like you can't even trust. Like who even trusts what comes on the news anymore?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they're
some people.
definitely just using all the new stuff for politics. It's like I can definitely sit back and watch. Um, you know, like they had the past just over the past couple weeks. There was the abortion thing, and then they're talking about abortion, but then they're saying like they're basically using it to try to get votes. Like
Yeah, everything's
like
comes to like
hey, like you got to
votes.
vote for us because if not, you can't get abortions or whatever. And then then there's the mass shooting, and
Hmm.
then immediately, instead of just trying to figure things out and get help, it turns into politics,
Yeah,
gun control,
yeah.
whatever it is. It always goes
Yeah.
towards politics to try to get votes.
It's like one hot button issue to the next, to the next, to the next, all just to make you forget about like the 2 years of fuckery where all this shit's been happening.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There were lockdowns and the amount of people who lost their jobs and their lives, like people who had to die alone and all of the shit that these politicians did. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's like, oh, forget about all of this shit for the
yeah.
2 years of the
Over these
mandates and
past
all of this. And it's
couple
like,
years,
worry
it
about this,
just
this, and this.
over these past couple years, it's just like it's kind of hard to even sit back and think what it's like. Well, I know, we're going to work and paying our bills and taking care of our kids. But it's like we don't know the next day to the next what these people are gonna decide to change our lives,
Dude.
and doing it just to stay in power to make more money. That's how I feel about it. Like, they're just gonna use all these big topics to try to get votes and just stay in power so they can basically keep laundering money.
Yeah, and getting rich and doing whatever the hell they want to do. And
Like
it's,
I'm gonna, I kind of feel like it's all that's what politics is. Let's see how long we can stay in here and make as much money as we can while we're here. Tell
mm,
them what they want to hear, and just keep Put
Yeah.
money in our pockets.
It seems to have become that, right? I would
Mm.
like to think that,
So this is another business.
yeah, it's almost like we live in like a corporate dictatorship. Businesses just kind of dictate everything like large businesses do. But I would like to think that, politicians, at least in the beginning, would get in it for the right reasons, not just to get rich or to. But the idea of being a career politician, like that's inherently wrong. You know what I mean? I think there should be
I
like
could
term
get
limits. I think.
I could get if this politician was really good. Like say, just like this guy goes to the MLB and he's really good. Like we're gonna keep him around for a long time. Like he makes the league a lot of money.
Right.
He's doing the right things. He's a good role model. Like there's a good politician, but most of them, like you said, they might get into it thinking they're gonna do good things,
Hmm.
but when they get in there, it's it's a lot of lobbying like it's a
Hmm.
lot of trying to raise money. How much money will this person give me to back me? And,
Yeah. But even
it's
the good ones, how long should we keep them, right? Because, for example, like in baseball, you know, uh, like the philosophies and like the mentality changes over time, right? So if you have a guy from like the early days of baseball and
everything's gonna change.
everything's changing, he's like, like, maybe he was good for the time, but then as things
Correct.
change, it's like,
Yeah. That's
fuck.
why I don't get the whole like constant like one side's trying to change the constitution, one side's trying to keep it. I get like there needs to be a little bit of change and a little bit of keeping. Like you can't just say like the way these guys thought way back then is the way that we should think now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get that there's a lot of moral things and things like that.
Right.
But it's just and it's hard to say like nobody knows what we should do.
We're all just figuring it out,
Yeah,
right?
nobody knows. Like we can sit here and talk about it, but like
Yeah.
nobody knows how to, lead this many people.
Right.
Like
And
it's
and this is in the like the time span of humans. This little thing that we call America is such a small experiment in freedom, because the majority has been like it's been ran by dictators and
yeah,
monarchs and shit like that.
and
So
mostly
this is
one
new.
type of people. Like this is like the
Kings and queens and
like
rulers
it
and
was like
dictators.
mostly one race in these countries a long time ago. Now it's like all these races mixed together and like all these different cultures and things, and it's just hard to make everybody happy.
America is definitely like a unique thing, but I really enjoy freedom. So I don't want to lose freedoms, which is the scary thing. It's like
Right.
it almost seems like this little thing that we call freedom or democracy is like slipping away. I don't know, like
Yeah.
one mandate at a fucking time.
But the thing is, it's like they pick and choose what they want to mandate, or like it's like they wanted to mandate these vaccines, and the same people that wanted to mandate vaccines and tell you what you can do with your body are now saying that it's their body, their choice,
Hmm.
whatever side you're on. I'm just saying you can't keep contradicting yourself like that.
Both sides do it.
Right.
Right. And then if you look at the highest of the high levels, I mean, both sides are really on the same fucking team. It's just like pro wrestling. Like they're over there just like getting their side rah-rahed up and their side rah-rahed up, and then they're going into the ring and they're duking it out, but really
Yeah,
they're
it's
all
like
they're all
reality.
backstage shaking hands and collecting checks and shit.
Yeah,
And
it's just like another reality TV
dude,
show.
it's crazy, man. I think some things just seem so simple, yet why are they so difficult? For example, like why is there not like an age limit? Like you can't be over a certain age. Like why are the people who are running for president in like their 70s? Like that
Yeah.
seems crazy. Like maybe the cutoff should be, I don't know, maybe like 65 at the most or some shit. I don't know. I'm just throwing
Right.
out a number. Or like why are there not term limits? I think it's a good idea to not have one person in there for so long. For example, like Supreme Court justices, why do they get appointed and then they're there for life?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about turnover rate, there's probably far fewer of those than anything else. So if you start from the very beginning, I think we can all probably agree that those people probably held certain beliefs. Like they're all probably pretty fucking racist. They didn't like black people.
Definitely.
So the chances of them of like shifting the system away from their belief system is going to be slim to none, right? So I mean, it's going to be slow, hard change with the laws. So like if you just look at it, that's how we get to places today where you had like redlining and like all these fucking things that
Yeah.
just aren't fair, and then that's kind of like when we get fast forward all the way to today where you got people who are like point out all of those injustices and then they're just acting like we have to burn the whole thing down.
Or they act like my favorite is like they act like it was like 1,000 years ago or something.
Oh
Like
yeah, that wasn't that long
it's
ago.
like they're I get both sides or whatever, but it's like it, they act like it's so long ago, or like like it wasn't. Like they're like, oh, it's not racism's not like it used to be, but it kind of like
Dude,
we're still feeling effects because when I was a kid, it was still bad. Like, and my grandfather probably was had to go through a lot of stuff. It wasn't that long ago.
no, not dude. My wife's mom was segregated in schools.
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago.
Not that long
They
ago.
they it's like they want you to think it was forever ago though.
Right.
They want you to think like it was like 5 generations ago or something.
No,
But
right.
it really was just not that long ago. So they want you to forget about it. Like I've been like when I moved to Cape. So when I lived in Illinois, I was really good at baseball. My team got second in state.
Oh, nice.
Like I played second base and pitched in the rotation. I was really good at baseball. That was probably my best sport. When I moved over here, I want to say I think it was my freshman year. I tried out for the team. They they pit everybody into groups. Well, they put all the black people in one group,
Hmm.
and so they go you go to different stations and they're watching you through all this stuff. Well, none of the black people made the team,
Oh, for
but
real.
they put us all. It was just really it was
Fucked
one of
up.
those situations like, and your heart kind of drops, and it's just like you feel weird, and it's kind of hard to speak up, and like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can remember, you know, situations like growing up where I've seen racism strong. It definitely has gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
It's really fucked up in sports too. You see it actually, and I guess even just kind of outside the race thing, you see just a lot of like politics and youth sports, right?
like
Whether
their dads and
baseball or
stuff.
exactly whether
Yeah.
they gave to the boosters or they know the coach or whatever, and
hmm
you see that favoritism, especially in sports like baseball and like soccer. You
Yeah.
see those a lot.
Yeah,
I
like
think
his dad made it
probably
to
basketball
his
too.
dad
Any
made
sport, I
his
imagine.
dad made it to AAA back in the day, so
Yeah. So if
he's got to be good. So
you probably see it more
we're
in
gonna let
team
him be the
sports
pitcher. Yeah,
than you do like
and that's why
individual.
that's another reason why I love MMA now, because I grew up on all these team sports, and it's you know used to feel like if something happens, it's never your fault, and like in MMA it has to be your fault. Like there's nobody else.
Yeah, you're in there doing it. Yeah, yeah, man. So yeah, that's fucking weird, man. People are just weird. We just do weird shit. I don't. There's no one right way to live this life. That's the thing. That's what pisses me off when people are like, "This is the way," and I know it for a fact, and you have to do what I do because this is. It's like, fuck, dude. Is it though? There's a lot of
Right.
different ways to do shit.
There's so many different people. Like everybody's gonna be different. There's
Yeah,
so many different people.
yeah, yeah, man.
Like even when you ever go to a different state, different city or whatever, and you just look around and like look like how different the people are,
Hmm.
and like how everything operates differently, and it's just like I could have grown up here and been a completely different person.
Yeah. The thing is, you could have ended up anywhere in the world. You never know. It's just like the luck of the draw. You could have believed something completely different, looked something completely different, just been exposed to things completely different, just based off the luck of the draw. Like, where were you born? Who were you born to? It's fucking wild,
Yeah,
dude.
that's crazy.
It really is. It blows me the fuck away, man. There's just so much variance amongst us all. I think about that a lot in the form of like, just in health in general, especially with all the shit going on now. Because for me, as an athlete and a fighter, you kind of have to take your health into your own hands, right? Because, like if you eat something and you go train, you can tell immediately
Tell the
how that's
difference.
affecting you,
Mhm.
right? Is it good or bad for you, right?
Right.
So I've always just taken my health into my own hands. So then, whenever these certain mandates come down and shit, and they're like, oh, well, you have to have this, or you're supposed to be just like, what are you talking about? Like I've always taken responsibility for my own health.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to say that I have to do something that somebody else is doing because maybe it worked for them, like how are you gonna say that it's for sure gonna work for me? You know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah, man.
Yeah, I was definitely like when all that was going down. It was very hard. I got a lot of kids in school and stuff, and they're forcing their kids to wear masks,
I hated that
and
shit.
it's like, you know, there was a lot of a lot of studies that showed that it was bad to wear masks because you're just breathing the carbon dioxide back in, like you're not letting the air get out, you're just breathing back in, and you know it's just it was just that was just a hard time to just watch my kids have to be forced to wear masks, and
Yeah.
they're trying to they're gonna try to get them, which they already obviously you're supposed to get so many vaccines to be able to go to
Mhm.
school each grade and things like that. um I myself, I don't even trust all those.
Yeah.
um I had um seen it personal, my son have a really bad reaction to a vaccine.
Mhm.
So ever since then, I haven't, I haven't forced my children to get those because my son literally declined after getting a vaccine,
Mm.
and I know for a fact that's what caused it.
Mm.
Um,
I was
so
seeing some.
now, so now like my youngest child, he hasn't had any vaccine.
Okay.
Um, so we went after that, like we went big against it. So like they tell you in Missouri that you have to have all these vaccines for your kid to go to school.
Mhm.
They say it's a law, but it's not a law.
Yeah, you can get
Yeah,
exemptions. Yeah.
you can have certain doctors or whatever write you a religious exemption because there's certain things in the vaccines
Mhm.
that
Right.
doesn't could go against your morals and things like that.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so annoying about just this whole like term that they're using, like anti-vaxxer, where to your point, while we do have a pretty good idea on a lot of these things, nobody knows for sure, and everybody's different. Some people are going to have bad reactions. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And also, how can we always trust what's in these things all the time? So, from like a vaccine standpoint, from kids, I think about it like with my kids, and like my wife and I, we're planning to have another one, and like we'll do vaccines, but we're definitely gonna do a different schedule now that I know
Right.
what I
Because
know,
there's a lot.
because you don't know how you're gonna react.
Well,
And
there's a
the idea of
lot
going in there and giving your kid 2, 3, 4 shots, no, fuck that.
all
We're
at
we're
once.
gonna do like one, and then I'll come back here in like a couple weeks.
Yeah,
We're
because
just gonna see me a lot.
like when we were kids, I want to say there was like 12 vaccines we got. I can't remember the exact numbers. 'Cause I've done a lot of research on this stuff.
Mhm.
But like when we were growing up, I think we got like 12. It's like 3 or 4 times that now.
Mhm.
Like they're giving, 3, 4 every, 3 to 6 months until they're, grown.
Yeah, they're
Like
loaded.
there's a lot, and you know, after like I said, after seeing, my son have a bad reaction, I just didn't trust it. Like you said, everybody's different. And there's also, statistics that it affects African Americans. Like a lot more African Americans have bad reactions than others. Also, there's been things in the past, like the Tuskegee thing. Like it's like if they did that back then, like we don't know until later.
The government will experiment on you.
We don't know until later. They've done a crazy amount of experiments.
All
There's
up
MK
here in
Ultra.
St. Louis, they've done that. I mean, they were spraying stuff over North City and stuff. Like, yeah, so they do that all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why. Yeah, I just don't want to be an experiment. And also, like you can't. It's not one size fits all. Like
Right.
I don't care. Like I don't care if you want to get vaccines or whatever. But I don't understand why you want to make me get
Yeah.
vaccines because if you believe they protect you, then you should be protected.
Well, and what about the fact that a majority of the people who are kind of pushing back towards like this one particular one, I mean, I have all my vaccines. Like my kids were vaccinated for school. Like we're just talking about one thing only. And then now it's like this whole propaganda of where you just lump everybody into one group, and it just
Right.
seems weird. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
It almost.
you can't have a nuanced conversation. Like why can't we just talk about it? Like
Right.
why are words? Since when did words become dangerous and harmful? What happened to like sticks and stones may break my bones, but
Yeah.
words will never hurt me, right? It's like even words that aren't attacking a person will hurt somebody, and it's like, oh, we can't have this conversation. Like, what the fuck? Is this La La Land? What kind of world are we living in? Is this reality?
Yeah. It almost just seemed like a big, like, almost marketing thing. Like, you know, it's almost just like, when somebody goes into business, they're like, all right, say you're going into business, or like you're selling your shirts or whatever, and you're like, I think this many people will buy my shirts, and so you get so many made, expecting so many people, and it's almost like I feel like they thought, let's make this many vaccines because this many people need them, and then when everybody's not getting them that they want to, they're pushing, 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 because they got to make their money back. They got to make their money.
Hmm.
Like it costs money to make them. Like they got to make their money back. So
Yeah.
that's why I feel they was pushing, pushing, pushing. Like it's just another, like, again, it's just another business.
It's all about money, right? It just comes down to who's getting the money. Yeah, man. Dude, we've gotten tests in the mail. I'm like, well, why the fuck are we keep getting tests in the mail? Why are you mailing us tests? Who's paying for these fucking tests? Like, where? Like, what is this shit happening? Like, they're just sitting in the closet. Like, I'm not gonna use these. What the fuck are these here for?
Yeah,
It's money, 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 money.
yeah.
Damn,
That's all it's
bro.
about. It's like
Money's not real, bro.
it's crazy.
You ever think about that?
Yeah,
It's just this arbitrary thing in a electrical bank account. Like,
yeah. It's so weird how, like, you know I have to go and give my time away to do something I don't necessarily love in order to take care of myself and my family.
yeah,
Like, I get it. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing for people to be productive members of society, because we definitely all need to do something in order to contribute.
hmm,
But it's you know sometimes I just sit back and think, because it's a very weird system.
yeah.
To try to wake your way up, whichever way, whatever you do, to try to wake your way up and gain more respect from people by making more money.
Yeah.
Um,
I play so as an entrepreneur and like as a guy, like I've grown up, I've been poor like my whole, like very broke. I always try to differentiate between poor and broke, like being broke like you just don't have money, but like poor is a mindset.
mm,
So like growing up like broke, like my family's never really had money. Like I've never had money, so always kind of like chasing that money, that respect, right? There's a lot of validation that comes from having money, right? The way people view you, for me, the way I view myself. So as I'm trying to build this company and do these things, it's very easy to attach a lot of my self-worth to how much money I'm making, even though like right now I'm building something and I think there's value there, and people will tell me I'm doing something, but I'm not making the money to reflect the things that I'm doing. So it doesn't feel like I'm adding value or actually doing anything. So it's just this weird thing. I'm trying to recalibrate the way I look at it, because it's just this weird thing where we place so much value on money, and it, for me anyway, I really equate my self-worth to my bank account. And
yeah,
it's a big mind fuck, because one, I do want to make money and there's just so many great things that come along with that. But on that same note, like maybe as I'm realizing that, it's not the ultimate thing. Like it's great and you want to have it, but like as you're building things, I think I'm just trying to keep in perspective of where the money will come, and maybe it's not there in the beginning, but that doesn't mean like the value still isn't there.
right.
I just watched this show. It's on HBO. It's called Showtime, about Magic Johnson and the Lakers, like
Hmm.
that whole era in the '80s. And the
Hmm.
first season basically is just like season one. So it's like the guy, I think it's Dr. Jerry Buss. He bought the Lakers, but he bought the Lakers and he didn't even have the fucking money, dude. And he's doing all of these things, and he basically built this great dynasty through the '80s. But in the beginning, it was really this whole fake it till you make it type deal.
Hmm.
Like the guy had money to a degree, and he had status and stuff like that. But you know, on the outside, it's like, oh, he owns the Lakers, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and he's kind of presenting this show. But meanwhile, he's completely stressed the fuck out. He's Everything has to work out, because if this season doesn't work, then bankruptcy, all he loses everything type shit. He probably only has, which for me it'd be great, but for him, he probably only had like 2 or 3 grand in the bank account. It's like, you just won the NBA champion, you just paid out millions of dollars for this season. You probably only have a few grand in the bank account. So it's like, to the outside world, he's successful, he's crushing it, he's doing this stuff, but to him, in that moment, it's like, man, I only have a few grand in the bank, but nobody fucking knows that. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like that whole kind of like faking it to your, like doing the thing, still putting the front there, just
Yeah.
in hopes that it's going to work because the value is still there. It's just the money hasn't came yet.
Yeah.
If you,
It's almost like trying to be a fighter, or like, you know, it, it's like, you said fake it till you make it. Like, it's about like again, I go back to respect, because um you're basically trying to get some people to respect you so that they want to work with you.
mm-hmm,
Like, I want to be nobody. For instance, as a fighter, you're trying to get sponsors
mm-hmm,
or whatever. Um, you gotta have so much respect before
mm-hmm.
people want to work with you.
Right.
And kind of like the same thing you were saying, like, he didn't have any money yet, but he had the respect where people were like, "Oh, look what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to work with that guy." So
Well,
it's like, you may not have the money yet, but if you're gaining respect, gaining respect, gaining respect, eventually the outside look is gonna be like, "We got to work with that guy because look at what he's doing."
yeah. Well, and also he had a, like, even though like he knew his real situation financially, right? But it's like that doesn't mean everybody else knows. So you still put your best foot forward, right? And you still present yourself like you are successful, and you still do the things, even though
Yeah,
you may not be feeling so confident. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just because you feel that way, it doesn't necessarily mean like most people else probably won't feel that way about you. You know what I mean? Like I think of it, I'm my own worst critic.
hmm
You probably are too. You're probably super hard on yourself,
oh yeah,
right?
oh
And
yeah,
like, how many times have you somebody saying like, "Yeah, man, you did really good on this," or "Man, I see you fucking working. You're doing this," and then in your mind you're like, "Really? Like, I didn't think that was shit," or like, I'm probably not working hard enough," or like you say all these mean things to yourself. But
hmm
I think our own perception can be way off in reality sometimes, or maybe just different than what everybody else perceives. So it's like it's still presenting yourself as if you are that thing, even though maybe you don't feel that way, or even though maybe your bank account doesn't reflect that, and so you don't feel that way. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And this is just how I feel
yeah.
personally. It's like, man,
That's what That's what I feel like is a really good skill that some people do. Like,
a lot of
it seems
successful
like
people
they're
do.
always happy. You meet the guy, the successful guy, and he's just smiling, like he's shaking hands, he's
Yeah.
happy, and it's just like, my wife tells me all the time, because you know I'm kind of like I don't go hang out like or anything like that. I'm kind of
Like,
almost like a little like almost like a loner, like,
yeah, same.
or so. And then sometimes, I wonder, like, I'll talk to my wife and wonder, like, we go back to the respect thing, like, why, like, feel like I'm doing good, like, but why don't these guys see what I'm doing? You know,
Mm.
why do I feel like they don't like me? Or, like, why do I feel like they don't want to be friends with me? Or, for instance, say I would go to jiu-jitsu and everybody's get like, we're gonna hang out tonight, we're gonna do this, and I almost kind of would feel left out. And then my wife told me one day, she's like, it's because of you, like, the way, because you're sitting there thinking that, and you're not really, like, the vibe you're pitting off.
Like you're not approachable. You're not
Yeah,
putting it out there.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that people just don't like me, but it's because of the vibe I'm pitting off. It's because
Yeah.
I'm pitting off a vibe. She tells me my wife tells me I kind of look like an asshole sometimes.
Like a
Like,
resting bitch face.
yeah, like,
I struggle with that
I just
too.
have an asshole face, and
Yeah.
so, you know, uh, so then I'm thinking, these people just don't like me, but it's because of me.
Yeah, it's like your own
Like,
perception of the
like
situation.
they do like me and respect me and think I'm a good fighter and things like this, but it never gets to that point because
Hmm.
I'm not.
You're like putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just putting in work and doing me and thinking like, these people should want to be friends with me. Like,
Like you're hoping like the things that you're, cause dude, I suffer from that too. Like I feel like I can relate to that. It's like you feel like you're doing the things, so like if you just focus on you and maybe not seem like too anxious, too eager,
yeah,
like
because
then like you're too weird or too forthcoming, then
yeah,
they'll kind of come to you, and then it'll
and
just kind of be
I think
natural.
that's from my teenage years because, so like. I
It's
told
not
you
cool to be
I grew up in
excited
a
or like
well
people as a
I
kid
grew up
either.
in a well, but when I was a kid, I kind of was over, like, not looking back. I didn't know this then, but looking back, um, I would over pursue people like friends and stuff like, and I think it's because, like I said, I grew up in a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that father figure in my household, so
Yeah.
it's like I was trying to hang out with these older guys, and then I would get, like sometimes I remember I would get mad at people not wanting to hang out with me
Oh,
and
yeah.
things like that, and then like it was almost like people would start to think like this guy's crazy because
So you don't want to feel
he wants
like,
to he like almost like I felt like I needed to always have someone around me, I guess.
right.
And then when I started to notice that how I was doing that, and then I felt like a dumbass for it. So like then I switched to the complete opposite
With
to
the
where
opposite.
I wasn't trying to talk to people at all.
Right. Yeah, because you don't want to come off as needy or doing too much, and and then also there's that like you don't want to be rejected. So it's like fuck it, I'll just do me and then just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
And
understand
then
that.
yeah, and so then it's just like a, but yeah, when she said that to me and just told me like it's because you like look like you don't want to talk to them.
Yeah, I try to like I can't remember what I was watching the other day or because I'm just always thinking about my brain because the way in which I try to act now is different than whenever I was a fighter. Because as a fighter, a lot of it's about you, and a lot of it is like solo and just in your head, and there's so much to fight in, and you don't want to be like that overtly like super nice go out fuck, because like you're trying to fucking fight people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's just kind of that dichotomy. So as a result, a lot of times, I'd just be focused on me and I'd go into the gym and it's like I'm not trying to fucking talk to anybody because I'm here to train. Like this is just my time to kind of be in my head and train and kind of
Uh,
work things out and like this is my time. But now it's like, man, like I'm trying to do these more social things. I'm doing podcasting, trying to build a business and be more social and stuff. So I'm trying to change some of those ways. And it can definitely be difficult, right? Because as I'm trying to study these people who are successful and the people who I want to be at or be like, again, I can't remember what it was, but I was listening to something, but it was like think of the people who you admire the most or the people who are successful. Like what are some of the traits that they have? And like you just list some of them. They're usually like outgoing and friendly and funny and
they
charismatic
can
and all
talk
these,
to everybody.
right? But that might not be a natural thing for those people. You know what I mean? So it's like those things that you have to work on and consciously
Right. Just
be
like
aware of and
everything comes with repetition.
yeah, and just push yourself out there and just kind of put yourself forward, which kind of all plays back into, kind of faking it till you making it or like
Hmm.
doing the thing despite how you feel. So, yeah, man, it's definitely a learning process and growth. I just realized how many successful people are really actually they don't really have as much money in the bank as you think they do, and they're actually always on the brink of failure. Like you just have I read this book, this is called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, who started Nike. And dude, Nike was one of the biggest fucking brands and they were crushing it and they were at all these places, but had the lockdown happen like in 2020, anytime in the 90s or the 80s, Nike wouldn't fucking be here.
Right.
Because they were the way they were doing is like they were taking massive loans and they're buying inventory and they're selling the inventory and they're paying back the loan and then they take another
Putting
loan.
everything back in. Right.
Exactly. Boom, boom. So as a business, like once you get to a certain level, banks that's not a secure financial situation. Like they don't want to invest in that. But that's just what he kept doing. What he kept doing, and it obviously paid off until they went public, and then now they got all this money and all this shit. But the point is, all this time, anybody would have thought Nike was this super established, massive business, and had one hiccup happened, and they couldn't have paid back something. Nike wouldn't fucking be here. So they were always just on a thin line all this time, but you would
Yeah,
have
that's
never
crazy.
known it. Exactly,
That's
dude.
crazy.
How many businesses are like that, dude? How many people are like that? How many people do you think have their shit together or are crushing it or whatever the case may be, but you really have no idea, or
Yeah, like
they're literally just like you.
how long can you live without working? Like, and then like when you think about it that way, like when people retire, when someone retires, they have enough money to last them until they think they're gonna die.
Yeah,
Like, most people like me, I'm living, we're living paycheck to paycheck. And it's like if I stop working in 3 weeks, I'm not gonna have any money.
right.
And so it's like e- everyone's on the brink anyway. So I guess if you're running a business, at least you're still pursuing it and like pushing for it, even if you're on the brink too. Like if you're, on the line of failing, at least you're
Yeah,
still going for it.
yeah, man. We all just got. I guess my only. I guess the original point is, it's like I guess as long as we're pursuing something of like meaning to us and
Yeah.
something that we can be passionate about and find purpose in, even if the money isn't always there, I think that's still a worthy pursuit.
Yeah. It's definitely a worthy pursuit to me because, like, I definitely want to be successful in fighting and one day, like, open my own gym. And, like, there's no money in fighting and things like that. Um, but at the same time, at least I'm pursuing something, like I'm not gonna quit, and I'm showing my children that. Like I'm showing my children that, I have a pursuit. So even if I work hard my whole life and I don't make it, but I show my kids like that work ethic and like, chasing your dreams and like working for what you want and doing what you love,
Yeah.
at least you know, putting a good seed in their head.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're leading by example, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Sometimes I wonder if, as much as I want to be, that most like that really successful person, that dude who's really like crushing it and enjoying all the fruits of the labor. Sometimes I wonder, it's like, man, is my place in this path of? It's like, man, my parents, like, my mom she had me a month before her 18th birthday, and my dad had me, I guess, a couple months before he turned 17. So it's like, man, was my path maybe just to maybe make some of the more, like, some of the mistakes and walk the harder path, so then that way, like my kids in that next
Yeah,
generation,
I was just thinking about that.
it's like, maybe they'll be the ones who are
Yeah,
they'll crush
because
it the way I'm trying to crush it.
yeah, the kids like the kids that I grew up with, went to school with, that are really successful in things they do now. You know, their parents were already working really hard. I'm not saying my mom wasn't working really hard, but it was
But
just
their
hard
parents are
for
kind
her.
of like in the place of where you are now,
Right,
right? It's like
exactly,
I'm in the place of where my friends' parents were, and then now
exactly.
they're, so it's like, it's
It's
just
starting to get there. Like we're going in the right direction.
right.
Like it's a stepping stone. Even if even if I just you know even if I'm not super successful, because honestly, like fighting, like when I first started it, my thought process was like I want to make a lot of money.
Hmm.
This like it's not really about the money for me. Like it's about the respect. And don't get me wrong, I want to be comfortable. Like I want to be to where I don't have to worry about my bills and
Right.
worry about food, worry about anything. If I want to be able to buy all my children cars. I want to
Hmm.
I want to be able to do what I need to do. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't have like the super like business aspirations. Like I just feel like it's to me when I think about that. And if I look at myself and think of myself in the future, like running some giant business or something and making a lot of money, it like I don't know, I get anxiety. Like I'm thinking like I won't know what to do. Like I don't want all that pressure. Like
Yeah.
I just want to fight and make money, make enough money to be comfortable
Right.
and not have to worry.
Yeah. That's fair. I think that's what a lot of people want. Just take care of your family,
Like do what you
be
want,
comfortable. Yeah.
do what you love to do. Like I don't know, I love fighting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
When
know.
you ask people what they enjoy the most, it's usually just like spending the time with the loved ones.
Mm,
The people they care about the most.
yeah.
That's what we all kind of just want. We just always want to be healthy and happy and make sure that the
And be able
people.
to do that, and like you want to be able to hang out with your family, hang out with your kids, and not in the back of your head be thinking like, oh man, I got that bill coming up. Oh
Right.
man, I got like you know the sport to pay for coming up, and I gotta figure out how that's gonna work out.
Right.
Like imagine how much more quality time you can have if you don't ever have to think about that.
Right. Yeah, that's true,
And then you
man.
can sit there and really be in the moment.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's a lot of big issues. I think a lot of people can kind of agree that we would like to fix. And for example, you look at, so we can use St. Louis as an example because we're right here. You can look at like inner cities, such as St. Louis, and you're like, man, why can't we fix some of these areas? Like, why can't we help this area improve or get better? And it's like, well, how can it? Even if you dump money into it and you fix up an area, how can that actually fix anything if you're not actually helping the people kind of get out of this spot of just surviving? Because if you're just surviving and you're just thinking about the next thing to help you survive, how can you ever think about actually living a better life? Because
Mm,
you're constantly stuck on survival.
yeah,
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 it's a tough place to be in.
yeah, definitely. It's I didn't have that much money growing up either, or a single mom. Like my mom worked basically like 12-hour factory jobs, so she
Mm,
was gone half the time. And looking back. and it was always a struggle. Like I played all the sports, but like I didn't know if I was gonna be able to get new cleats, or like
Right.
So then like putting that worry, like it's not like your parents are trying to put that worry on you, but you see it, like
Yeah.
you see that your mom, can't afford it, and she wants to be able to get it for you
Yeah.
because she knows you need it, but she just can't.
That's a shitty feeling
Yeah.
when you're a kid and you're around a whole bunch of people
And then
who.
and then all your friends are getting,
Mhm.
their parents are well
Yeah.
off, so they they're getting everything and
Yeah.
everything they need. The parents are at every game.
Yeah. And
You
kids
know,
don't have perspective either. You're just like, well, I have this, so why don't you have that? You just think that things are just the way they are. You don't
right?
really have the perspective of other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think about that. I think about some, you know, like my best friend growing up. I spent a lot of time at his house, and at the time, I didn't realize it, but like, he wasn't in like the best home situation. Like he had a nice house and like it was like middle class, but it was like I go over there and his parents were never around. Like his dad would work nights, so he'd like sleep all day, and like the mom was kind of working, or whenever she was at home, she was kind of sleeping. And it turns out they kind of had some substance issues, and
Mm,
it's like, man, you don't really, as a kid, you can't put the whole picture
yeah,
together.
it's
It's like not
definitely
even really
weird.
possible. So you don't even know what someone's situation is. I was at this kid's house almost every fucking day. It's like my brother, and it's like I had no idea. But now as an adult looking back on it, I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, he spent the.
Yeah.
We were alone a lot. There wasn't a lot of supervision. His parents like, fuck,
Yeah.
whoa.
That's definitely how my house was,
And it
and
just seems cool as a kid.
yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm a kid. I do my own thing.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes you don't even know. Like I didn't even understand my own situation. Like I didn't
Right.
understand how broke like I didn't know, how much money people had or
Right.
how much money other people made.
Because that's just normal.
Yeah, I just knew what I had, and
Yeah.
I thought basically everybody was, not necessarily, but for the most part, I'm like everybody's mostly living paycheck to paycheck.
You're right. You don't
Like
understand that.
like everybody's kind of broke. Like that's kind of just how I felt because that's just how I grew up. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just I didn't even understand, or like kids would go eat after school and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it was just like, why can't I do that? Like,
Right.
why can't I? And then it's almost, that those people click up, so like, and then that's why, when you don't have the money to hang out with those type of people, then you start, hanging around bad
Mm-hmm.
influences and things like that because,
Right. It's a vicious cycle.
mhm,
I was watching this comedy special with fuck, what is his name? Gary Owen? He's a white
mhm,
comedian. But I used to watch him back in the day on Comic View, but he's really known like the black comic circle. But either way, he was talking about his mom, and like she wasn't a good mom. And so like when he was like real young, like he had to kind of do everything for himself, and he was kind of telling this joke of when he was at school and all his friends were getting out their lunches and shit. He was like, damn man, it's like you woke up early and you made your own lunch. He's like, damn,
right,
he's like, and the kid was like, no man, my mom made that. He's like, man, your mom didn't make that. Moms don't make lunches, dog. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Because his mom never made him lunches. So in his mind, it's like moms don't do that. What are you talking about? Your mom's making lunch. It was it
dude,
was a really funny joke. But the point is, when you're a kid and you're just things are normal, you don't realize. You just think everybody's doing
yeah,
the same
and
thing.
I definitely feel that because like I said, my mom, she worked like factory jobs and stuff like that, so. Most of the time I was making my own food. From the
Mm,
time I can remember, I was always making my own food. Like my mom didn't really cook that much.
mm.
So, yeah, it's crazy how people can just grow up in completely different situations, and then, you know, we make it to adulthood, and then we got to figure it out. Or I definitely had to figure it out because
Yeah.
I didn't have that father figure, and so like my mom, I didn't know. My mom did a really good job at kind of hiding it, I guess, but she had some substance abuse and stuff like that. I didn't really know. I didn't really pay attention though.
Right.
Like I didn't. Um. So I forgot what I was gonna say.
We're just kind of talking about, like in your kid, you just don't have the perspective, like what's happening around you. And, I mean,
Right.
yeah, you know,
Yeah, I didn't even know,
you think
you
what's
know.
normal with your parents is
Yeah, I didn't
normal for
even.
everybody.
Yeah, I didn't even know, that my mom was going through these things,
Right.
or that my mom, she was on like psych meds and stuff like that because of things she was dealing with.
How could
Um,
you?
right.
Kids are narcissists. It's just by nature. Like when you're a kid, you only have the perspective of you, and everything is like you growing up, and all this shit. And it's hard to have the perspective of somebody else's life,
Yeah.
especially your parents.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird to see your parents as a human. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, they're just like me. I'm trying to convey that to my son. Like, dude, I am like the circumstances are different and the world is different, but it's like I am a person just like you, and I was also once 13, and the only difference between me and you is just some years. I'm still just trying to figure this out. I don't have it all figured out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's weird though. My son said something to me like I can't remember what it was, but it was something to the effect of like he didn't realize that like I get stressed or something because like I don't ever show him I'm stressed or complain to him about adult problems or tell him about that kind of shit. So in his mind, he just probably assumes that I don't deal with those kind of things or like it's I'm immune to it or something. So I'm trying to like find the balance of like how much I share with him because I definitely don't want him to feel or either one of my kids, but you don't want them to feel like you're alone or that like me as an adult or as a person I haven't also maybe experienced these things or I don't like I want you to understand that I do have some understanding like you're not alone in this situation of life. But it's just hard, man, because as an adult like you can't let kids know everything and how can they even understand?
Yeah. It's definitely weird.
You're not thinking of it as a kid.
You're just like you say. You're just thinking about what you got going on.
Yeah, man. To a certain point, it's just usually friends and fun.
Yeah.
Like friends and fun. That's all you're trying to do.
Yeah. And then, so I know what I was saying. Like I was saying, I had to, kind of figure everything out. So my mom, she was going through her own things, and I was being a bad kid. So like at 17, she kicked me out, and so I kind of had to kind of figure out how to be adult on my own, like for the most part. And like it took a while, So it's like now, you know, I didn't realize how much it affected me not having father figure in my house or how much my mom was gone. But now that I like when you get to about mid-20s, everything starts hitting you pretty hard. You're like, oh man,
Yeah.
like this everything's not going good. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm broke. Like
Hmm.
it just seems like you got a lot of stress, and then I had to kind of figure out how to be an adult on my own. But now I like aimed, like you said, we're in the position of our friends' parents used to be in. So
Yeah.
it's like now, we have to be that structure for our children. So
Yeah. Dude, that's the thing, man. We're told we're adults when we're 18 and we're kind of given all this responsibility. You can join the military, you can vote and all this shit. But dude, your brain isn't even fully developed. Your prefrontal cortex is not
there's no
fully
way.
until you're 25.
Yeah.
Right around 25. So to your point, I've heard this time and time again. I can think in my own life. I've seen it with my little brother. Like I have two little brothers I grew up with. I say I grew up with because I have other siblings from like my real dad too. I'm not like I have them, but I didn't grow up with them.
Right. Correct.
So my one brother, he's your age. He's 29. You were born in 93.
92. Yeah.
92.
I'm 29.
20. Yeah. So he's born in 93. So he just turned 29. And he was a wild fucking child. And somewhere around 25, 26, he started calming the fuck down and just really becoming like a grown man. And then now you would never even know who the fuck he is today. And you see that time and time again, right? Like once you hit mid 20s,
Yeah.
everything starts clicking. You start thinking clear. You start calming down. So it's like a weird thing where we push these kids out into the world and we're like, you're adults. But your brain isn't fully developed. You're super volatile. You make terrible decisions. You don't think things through. Up until usually right around 20s, and there's always exceptions, but right around mid 20s, you're extremely selfish. You can't even put yourself in the perspective of other people just because you don't have the ability. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like you're an adult, and then now it's it's weird because I think you should be held. You're never free from consequences of your decisions or the things that you say. Like you have to be held accountable for your actions. But on the same note, I think we hold people almost too accountable when they're
Mm.
really young. It's like you're 18. The most dangerous people on the streets are like young men between like 16 and 27,
Yeah.
24 really. Like because you have hormones and you have ego and like you just want to go fuck shit up and
Yeah.
your brain's not fully developed. So it's like you see young kids who are like not in good situations and they're really surviving and they make bad decisions and then
Yeah,
it's
that was
like
the worst.
and then now it's your whole fucking life. Maybe you got arrested or something when you're in
Oh,
your
man,
early 20s
I
and
got
now you're a convict your whole life. You can't vote, you can't get jobs. You're a slave is what you are. And
yeah.
then what about people who were young and violent and then now they're in like their 40s and they're still acting like they're these young violent kids? It's like no,
I don't understand it.
it's
Like
so
you
weird.
see,
Where's the
or like,
redemption?
or you see kids you went to school with, and it's like they're still just like selling weed on Facebook and like
Yeah, some people get stuck.
posting themselves riding around. Like we're 30 and you're posting yourself riding around in your car smoking weed and
Yeah,
like
some people get stuck.
yeah, and it's like it's just for like a culture thing. People get caught in like living like they want to live like other people. They want to be seen by other people like they're living the same as them. And it's just so weird. Like I fell into it for a while as a kid, and like I just had like a wake up call one day. Like I just woke up one day and was like, what am I doing? Like why am I doing? Like why am I living like this? Like this is not right.
Yeah.
Like I was the same way. I grew up, thought I was tough. Got into like selling weed and thinking like I'm like a thug and
Yeah.
things like that. And like it's literally I was just influenced by like culture and the music I was listening to.
Right.
Like literally just the music. You listen to music as a teenager and then you want to be like
You
that.
want to think it's cool.
Like
Yeah.
you listen to rappers and stuff and like, oh, I want to be like a rapper. I want to party and do drugs and
Yeah.
and like I fell into that and like I it just it's just and then looking back at that, it's just like crazy. Like I can't
Yeah.
even believe I was that person.
Well, the grass is always greener, right? And
Yeah.
it's like the thing that you don't know or you don't see is always super attractive. And also, how many young kids always want to? How many kids do you know who, when they were young, wanted to kind of be gangsters, and then they all
Uh-huh.
grow up and then they just kind of become themselves? And
Yeah.
usually, it's like probably in that area it's usually like a lot of rural guys like that you start you go away from the wigger days
Everybody
and
wanted
they,
to be gangsters.
yeah
Like
and you
everybody everybody
yeah and then
was
now you
for
start
the
wearing clothes that fit you start wearing your boots you start just kind of connecting with your country roots.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's definitely me. That's definitely me.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, I'm glad I finally seen things the other way and like and changed around and
Yeah,
and can be a good father figure for my kids. So,
love it, dude. Well, man, you're
definitely.
on the path, bro. You're on the path. All right, Keith, it's been 2 hours, buddy.
Oh man, for real.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, let's wrap it up. What's coming up? Is there anything you want to tell the people about? I know you got a fight coming up. Is there any
Yeah,
way people can check you out? Let them know.
yeah. I have a fight coming up. We're 4 weeks out from tomorrow. Um, June 18th. Fight Hard MMA. I'm the co-main event.
That'll be in Springfield.
It's in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Oh, Kansas,
It's in
tight.
Kansas,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. I know. Zach Cummings is kind of bringing that
Yeah,
thing.
so
Yeah.
it's Zach Cummins and Chris Gregory. Chris is actually my manager.
Okay.
So I think he owns the promotion
Oh,
now or
nice. That'd
something.
be good for you.
Yeah, so I'm co-main event. I'm fighting Nathan. I'm trying to pronounce his name. Nathan Stromberski.
Okay.
He's a coach. Springfield Fight Club. I don't. So like I haven't been able to find like the most like a whole lot on him. But from my understanding, he's one of the coaches at Springfield Fight Club.
Okay.
So they've had quite a good few fighters.
Yeah. So it should be a good
So
fight for you.
yeah, he's making his pro debut, but I want to say he's like 40 or close to 40.
Okay.
But he's a black belt.
Lots of experience, probably competing.
He's a black belt. From the fights I can see, he hasn't fought in years,
Right.
but he has fought before. This is gonna be his pro debut.
Right, but does he like compete jiu-jitsu and stuff like that? Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So I
he
mean,
competes.
he's a black belt in
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu.
So you know what he's probably gonna want to do.
Yeah. So and he's 40, but like you can't really look into that too much anymore.
No.
Like you see these 43-year-olds beating people up in the UFC.
Yeah,
So
don't take anybody
I'm
lightly.
not. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't be like, oh, he's 40, so.
Then
I'm
you just got beat
definitely.
up by a 40-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely taking it super serious. I'm training super hard. But yeah, June 18th, Fight Hard, co-main event.
Dope. Socials? What are your socials?
The sleep on Facebook, just Keyth Dawson. I spell my name Keyth. On Instagram, it's the Sleeper MMA.
Dope. I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, man.
Keyth, my man. Thanks again, dude.
Yeah, dude. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. All right, everybody. Next time. See ya. Bye.